Yo, what is going on, guys? This is Jacked YGO here, and today we are coming at you with a video on how to play DDD post branded structure deck. I forget what it's called, the Chronicle structure deck. So the reason why I want to make this video is because I do believe the deck at this point in time is solved. It took pretty well, I believe, a month until the deck was like fully solved in terms of ratio and stuff. And I know people are still playing around with stuff, and there's always some solving to do with every single deck, right? But I do believe that now we have our ratios and how to like combos, everything are all pretty well sorted out. The thing that I think needs work is the deck has zero tops, like even on a top 64 level in terms of like a North America standard. Like I don't even see I haven't seen anyone like even like regionals or anything. And I think a really big reason for that is because I do believe the deck is more complicated than it's ever been, right? You hear a lot of people who quite honestly have barely even touched the deck or don't even know the deck, and they keep saying, oh, Konami made support to streamline the combos. Well, in a sense, yes. And the reason also I want to make this video is because I have found about 5 combos that if you know them, you're going to know how to streamline these more so. But by no means is the deck streamlined. Like, I mean, there's honestly over 300 combos you can do with this deck. Like, I've kind of like drew them all out. I have really been grinding this deck, honestly. Like, I have been putting a lot of time into it. And there's just literally over 300 variations of combos that you can do. And it's that's outside of like getting hand trapped and stuff, right? Because when you get hand trapped, then there's like different ways you got to go. There's ways you got to play around hand traps. There's certain hands that you got to sequence correctly so you don't play into certain hand traps. The deck is extremely complicated, and it will only favor and reward like perfect play, right? And I think part of the reason why it hasn't seen any decent success, at least here in North America, is mainly because if you're bringing this deck to like something like a YCS or a regional, the amount of brain capacity you need, like you need the gas like in your brain, and you need to make sure that you can't misplay, because honestly the only real thing that stops this deck from winning, outside of, every now and then the opponent has a better hand, right? And we do die to something like Fallos, and if we don't have an answer, sometimes there's just not much we can do. But most of the time, this deck has a capability to break boards and also put up a board that's unstoppable, even through a multitude of hand traps. The problem is it's very hard to complicate. It's very hard to play, and it's very complicated now. So if you don't do things correctly, there's just not really much you can do. And I do believe this is why the deck is not seeing proper success. So I am here today to showcase to you guys, now that Dimensional Barrier is banned, we have a lot of opportunity here. And I do believe that after the next ban list, we're supposed to get one in December, they're probably going to hit, for sure, Mitsurugi and probably Yummy. They're going to hit a little bit, right? And that's honestly all we need to at least become a tier 2 deck, I find. I do still believe we're in Rogue, and we have every capability of getting to a tier 2 status. The challenge is how hard this deck is to play. And the reason I want to make this video is so you guys can at least see my sides of it. I have been grinding this deck like crazy, and I'm not perfect by any means yet. Like, it's crazy to say because I've been piling this deck since literally 2015 when I got back into the game. But I'm still, like, with the new support, like, I'm still by no means perfect, right? However, I believe I have enough experience with the deck to know enough to make this video to kind of showcase you guys what board states you need to follow, certain management. Like, I'm going to go through everything. Like, I have a bunch of stuff written down here that I want to go through, and I'm actually going to like label off some of the stuff. So we're going to talk about the pros and cons of the deck, right? Deck building apparatus. We're going to go through siding strategies. We're going to go through the combos, the management during your combos, and then how to play around all the most popular cards in the format right now. And as well as we're going to touch on the best decks of the format, so then we kind of have an understanding of how we need to deck build and ultimately build our combos. Because, guys, it's honestly amazing how many combos this deck can do, but it's also a pain point because if you don't know what combos you need to be doing in certain ways, and you don't want to be thinking like at a huge event. You want to make sure you want to know as much streamlined as possible, so that way if you do get to a big event, you don't have to think as much. You can actually mentally keep your stamina, right? Because we know in real estate, oh my gosh, you guys can tell I've been working a lot lately. In the world of Yu-Gi-Oh, mental capacity is pretty big if you're going to an event that's over 5 rounds, okay? So without further ado, I'm just going to get into the video. This is probably going to be my most in-depth video I've probably ever made. This one's going to be really into it because I really believe if someone watches this and they really soak it in and practice these combos, this will be the key point to someone at least getting a top of the deck. I don't believe this deck has a capacity to win. It might win a regional, it might if you're really lucky. I think you could get away with winning a regional for sure. It has every capability of getting to the top in like a bigger event, a top 32, a top 16, potentially a top 8. But again, like to win a YCS, I don't think it's at that level, which is fine because I totally like the fact that the deck is in that position because we're not heavily targeted and not everyone knows what our cards do, which actually rewards us sometimes, right? So without further ado, I'm gonna jump right in, get to the video, and we'll see you on the playmat. See you in a bit. Okay guys, so welcome to the playmat. So we're gonna start off with, number one is gonna be the pros and the cons, okay? So probably gonna have to, just give me a second here everyone. Oh my goodness, don't wanna move. Kind of a new camera setup, it's been moving a little bit on me. Okay, so here we go. I don't wanna break my back while I'm filming, right? So we're gonna go over like some of the pros and the cons, right? So the reason I want to go over this is because we got to discover like what our deck loses to and what we benefit in order to best deck build, right? And so as you can see here, like I wrote down on one of my real estate event notepads that I had an empty space for. Honestly, when I go to real estate event, guys, I fill these right up. Like I just soak in so much, but I actually had like one page available, so I just flipped it around and there we go. So pros and cons, right? So this is literally all the notes I wrote to have this. I've honestly never had a video where I wrote notes, but I really felt like this should be structured. So anyways, some of the pros, right? Like the pros would be we have the ability to play through a lot of hand traps, right? Believe it or not, like unless we open like our 1-card combo, we have the ability to play through a lot of hand traps as long as we have 2+ like a starter plus an extender. And for the most part, DDD can trade off. Usually per card, it's like a trade-off. Like if you have a starter, it trades off 1 hand trap. If you have an extender, it trades off with 2 hand traps, right? That's kind of what I found is like, because DDD isn't like Canine or something where, or like Yummy where like, for example, Yummy can like normal summon, add hand trap. Okay, then they link and then you got to have like 3 hand traps for 1 Yummy, right? DD's like 1 body trades off with 1 interruption, right? But I've also found too, once you start getting past like 2 or like 3, depending on how you sequence, depending on how your opponent hand traps you, you can play through more than 2 hand traps. And I found in my experience most of the time, getting through 3 hand traps, you still can build your whole board and your opponent's neg too hard to actually beat you, right? Another thing too is that our board going first is literally unbreakable. Like, is it breakable? Yes. Like I know 2 hand traps, or sorry, not 2 hand traps, 2 board breakers can really do the job on us. But at the same time, I find if someone has 2 board breakers, they have to find a way to actually like kill us that turn because we still have things like Floodgate. We still have an index Floodgate. We still have turn 3 big guy, and then we also have ways to play around a double board break because we can turn off one board breaker, right? But if we don't, we have something like the Link to revive, and then it kind of snowballs from there, right? We also have pretty good non-engine we have access to. So even if they get through our board, they usually neg pretty hard because they have to hand trap us and then board break us most of the time. And then they have to play through stuff like Impulse and Droll and Lockbird. Like our non-engine's pretty solid to back up our board, which is what I really like. So we also got to know that if we get through and make our whole first turn board, it's pretty well on FDK. Like I still have yet to have someone who's broken my whole board and actually won. Like it's kind of insane. So that's something to know because that's going to go around our deck building strategy is we don't really have to focus so much on siding 9D barriers, for example, because we don't really need it, right, is what I'm trying to say. The other side of it, too, that's a pro, is that I found, just because our non-engine options are so strong, really, like, 2 solid non-engine and 4, like, mixtures of starters and extenders breaks pretty much every board. I found that's, like, pretty well been the minimum because 2 good non-engines will mitigate a board because DDD can play through a mitigated board. It can't play through a full combo board. Unless you have strong board breakers, but a lot of time if you let your opponent set up really well, it is hard to actually play through if you're short on pieces, right? But I found anywhere from 3 to 4 going second combo pieces mixed with like mixture of starters and extenders, plus your non-engine can actually play through a lot of things. So that's good to know too. So going second, it's got that going for it, just partially because our non-engine is very strong in this deck. The cons of this deck, there's really 2 ones that I've outlined on this, right? So the cons would be this deck loses to Fallos. Number 1, you have to know that this deck just auto loses to Fallos. Number 2, the deck loses to itself. So, oh my lord, the wind is really strong. I'm filming upstairs today. So yeah, the deck loses to itself, and it's good to know that because you have to build your deck around being a little bit more consistent than the rest, right? What I mean by that is you have to make sure you're getting as many starters and extenders as possible while maintaining a healthy non-engine ratio and playing the minimum requirements, which we're going to go over once I get to the deck building. The other side of losing to Fallos too, if we're talking about losing to Fallos, or sorry, we're going to stick to losing to self first. So like losing to self, I also mean not knowing the combos, right? DDD players, I'm telling you, like it's so easy to like misstep, like having an additional pendulum summon, like managing how many pendulum summons you have can be hard. If you get tunnel vision, you can actually end up normal summoning more than once and not even realize it, right? Like, or there's certain lines of plays you can go down where if you set up incorrectly, you immediately just killed yourself pretty well, right? So the other side of it too is Fallos. We have to have as many answers to Fallos as possible, knowing that is a problem, okay? Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is like the most popular decks in the room right now, right? And although we just had a Banlist and things are kind of shaping up, like it didn't really do anything to some of the best decks, right? So we need to understand that there's really 5 give or take decks in the main, and I'm just going to have this out just so I don't forget, but there's Branded's going to be popular right now because they just got a deck and the new card's actually really good. I think it actually makes it a viable deck right now for like a tier 2 status deck. Maybe 1.5, we'll see, but for sure tier 2 Branded will be seeing a lot of play, and it has easy access because it's a more of a budget deck. Draco Tail is another really popular deck right now. Yummy, like, so basically Yummy Mitsu, Yummy Soulful Cord, Mitsu, like those 60 card variants, but any variant of Yummy is going to be popular. Canine variants are going to be popular, and pure Mitsurugi. So those are the 5 decks in the room. Knowing those 5 decks are what we need to build around for. Now, keep in mind, if you go to locals and people are playing a bunch of random stuff, really the way Justice Hunters has matched the form, like mirrored the form, like shaped the format, I guess you can say, Justice Hunters makes it so that people kind of have to deck build into those decks. Like they have to be playing some sort of one of those decks, like Canine, Draco Tail, Mitsuru, or like a Yummy, and then of course Mitsurugi variants, right? So unless you're playing some random depends on what your locals is, but for the most part, everyone's locals is going to be flooded with one of those 5 decks, okay? So we have to know that, and we have to build around our deck and combos around that. All right, so now for the deck building part of things. So we're going to get into my list and what I'm playing right now. I do have a couple proxies because a lot of the time I'm deck building at my parents' place, so where my brother is. And I try to keep as much Yu-Gi-Oh! Out of the house as possible. So I have a couple proxies, but just going to give you guys the spiel. So basically, before I get into this, so we're going to put this side. So 15 obviously here, 15 here. So the main deck is 43 cards. So why am I playing 43 cards and going back to the original way of playing this? Well, in my experience, I have found that, and I did a lot of math on this. So when you play 43 cards, number one, you're spacing out your bricks. I wouldn't say that's like the number one reason why you play 43, but what I found is when you play 43, it makes not only spacing out your bricks, I think, honestly, if we're talking about spacing out bricks, I think it gives you a 3 to 4% less chance to actually see a brick in your hand. I did the math on a lot of this stuff. I'm just going off memory right now, but I'm pretty sure it's between 3 and 4%, like 3.4 or something like that. So when you play 43, number one, you're spacing out your bricks. Number two is it makes your siding patterns way easier, right? So when you're playing 43, it's a lot easier to side in. I found commonly I can get anywhere between 9 to 10 cards sided in very fast and out. And then going first, I usually put in 3 cards, okay? So yeah, so the other thing is the siding. 43 cards makes siding a lot easier. And finally, playing 43 cards, I'm actually able to play more non-engine and more starters. See, one thing that I found with DD is that it still kind of lacks consistency, and I have to find a way to make this as consistent as possible while also having as much access to non-engine where we could be competitively viable. The other side of that too is I need to make sure I'm minimize on how many of the quote-unquote engine requirement or bricks quote-unquote that I am playing. So playing 43 cards has been correct for me. I've been playing 40, 41. I tried 42 for a little bit, just felt weird. Tried 45 for like a couple games, I think, when I was just playing with my brother. It just kind of felt incorrect. And 43 just felt fine because when we're playing 43, we can play 12 one-card starters. We can play 17 non-engine. right? And that gives us access, and I might as well just go through the list instead of just telling you guys, but again, I'm just going off some notes here that I have. We can play the 17 non-engine, the 12 one-card combos, and then we can also max out on our extenders. This is all going to be, and then the siding benefits, right? So this is all going to be something to note while we're going through this, and this is why I've chosen to go to 43 cards, okay? So we're going to just start things off. So we're going to start off with your one-card starters, okay? Starting from best to, I guess, worse. I don't know if worse, but the best one by far is Kepler. So a lot of people might say Machine X is your best one-card starter. The reality is you want Machine X to be floating through every single one of your combos. Like, you need this in pretty well every single combo that's known to this deck for combos to be actually reasonable, right? But Kepler is actually the best one-card combo in the sense where you can actually play around certain things with Kepler, right? Now, some people, sure. Like, I mean, you can say this for any deck other than Yummy right now pretty well. One-card combo will just lose to Ash, okay? Like, I mean, Naroi, one-card Naroi will just lose to an Ash sometimes, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of similar traits. But, like, we're not Yummy, like, I get it, right? So this is why we play more extenders. But Kepler doesn't have to just add this and then do the combo. Because the problem is when you start with this, you are eating an Ash block. If your opponent, everyone knows to Ash the dog contract. And if you try to go for this, if you don't have to, and you try to go for this, you're going to get punished really bad if they have an Ash Blossom for your dog contract. Rather, Kepler has two different lines. You can either go ahead, go gate and add this, and then go for this. And I really only do that if I know that my opponent has already Ashed me, or if they just tell me to go off. Sometimes you just have that idea that they're going to let you go off, right? You can kind of sense that. But sometimes they maybe Ash the Nightmare Throne, for example, right? Or they Ash some sort of bait, and then I just normal summon Kepler. Now I know I'm protected from Ash Blossoms, so the best one-card combo essentially is going for Queen, right? That is essentially your best one-card combo in terms of power level, okay, and recursion. But the way you do this with Kepler, I'll show you guys the different combos, is you have access to a few different combos starting with Kepler, and this is why Kepler is actually your best one-card combo in the deck and not Machine X, right? So I don't want people to get too tunnel vision or streamlined into starting with Queen, because it's actually not your best starter. It is the best card in your deck because it's involved in every single one of your combos and solves so many problems, but it is not the best starter, right? You would rather start with a Kepler, or at least have this plus a starter or extender in hand, okay? The best way to play this deck is when you reserve the Queen Machine X, right? So as an extender, right? Don't get me wrong, there's times where you have to start with this, but you don't want to if you don't have to, is what I'm trying to say, because everyone in literally God's name knows to Ash the dog contract right now, right? Because that's what was actually advertised when the deck was coming out and people were trying to learn it, right? So your one-card starters, we're just going to go from the best to what, I guess, worse, I don't know. Then you have Gate, right? So Gate is another good one-card combo. Basically, Gate, you're adding the Copernicus and going from there. It can add the Queen. It just depends on how you want to do it, right? Gate is technically also a bit better because you have different lines to actually get through your combo. But the Queen, again, is usually the weaker one-card starter because it's a little bit more vulnerable to Ash. Then for the rest of the one-card combos, we're just doing double Throne and one Spirit's Mastery. So you technically could max out on Throne and just cut the Spirit's Mastery. I like having Spirit's Mastery because there's sometimes, this is Ash bait, so if I know I can resolve this, because if this resolves, I grab this and they Droll me, I don't really care because now I can put this up in my scale, right? But if I'm trying to bait out an Ash, a lot of time I might do this because they're going to see I'm going to neg, and then I can just normal summon like Kepler or something, right? So I find outside of this just being a really good starter, like a starter for Machine X, it's actually a really good extender, right? So if I have enough, and it also gets rid of your bricks if you open them, right? So this is actually pretty good. The Throne is really good. Now some people might say, oh, this plays into Droll and Lopper, which is pretty well in everyone's main deck right now. Yes, it plays into Droll, but most of the time, if this is your only starter, well, again, DD dies to, you can also say, okay, this plays into Ash. This plays into Ash Blossom if they Ash this, right? I mean, like, this plays into Droll, for God's sakes. Like, I mean, if you normal summon Kepler and it's your only combo, I doubt you're adding the dog contract. You're probably adding the Gate. And then if they Droll you, well, you have no other place. So it is worth to play the Nightmare Throne. Now, the one thing I want to mention is, in a 43 card list, if I'm playing this many one-card starters, my chances of actually seeing one of these 12 in my hand is 95.4%. Okay, so it's about 96%. I did the calculations. So if you go to an event and you play 9 rounds, assuming half of them are played in 3, which actually kind of checks out for DD. Probably more like with DD, just because we're kind of die roll dependent. Probably a little bit more, but just to keep it at sake, like let's say you play 9 rounds, you're probably going to end up playing 22 games, give or take out of that, right? Out of 22 games, you're not going to see these 1-card starters. You're going to brick 1 game out of 22 games. That's fine, right? And the possibility for that is because I'm maxing out on my starters. I have 12 starters. Now, if you want to go even heavier and want a 100% chance, you have to play 14 starters. If you're playing 43, if you're playing a 43 card list and you have 13 1-card starters, so if you bump this up to 2, then you're looking at a 98, 99%, which is obviously good enough. If you want to go past 100%, if you want just over 100%, you would play either 3 of these, or you play 2, 2, and then 1 for 1. So if you have 14 1-card starters, you actually have a 100% chance of actually seeing a starter. But the reason why I'm not doing that is because I found this is actually the most beneficial, and I'd rather mix it with extenders, which we're going to get into the extenders just now. So the way I'm playing it right now gives me a 95.4% chance to actually see one of these 1-card starters in my hand. Now, that's not to mention the extenders I can draw off. I can also open up with it as well, right? So for the extenders, we're playing the 3 Griffin. We're maxing out, right? So we're going 3 Griffin and 3 Scale Surveyor. So basically, when you're playing it this way, when you have it set up like this, you have the highest chance to see the extender, because the deck is best played when you have a starter plus extender, especially if you start with, oh sorry, this is the wrong pile. Especially if you're starting with a Kepler. If Kepler gets stopped by any means, or if you get drolled, these are going to save you because you can go full combo right after, right? So it gives you the versatility to play through 2 hand traps, no problem. Now, the reason sometimes people want to, I was playing Scale Surveyor 2 for a while. After testing for a while, I found this actually could be your best extender, like over Griffin. Now, Griffin is a really good extender. It's the best card to have in graveyard for sure. But Scale Surveyor, in the cases where you don't have access to an early contract, for example, right? Like if you have Kepler plus Scale, like if Kepler gets negated or something, you go Scale. Well, now you have to find access to Machine X through placing it up on Scales, and Scale Surveyor actually does that once it gets sent to the extra deck when you bring it back out. Griffin does not do that, so if you have Griffin plus Kepler and Kepler doesn't get you a contract, this actually becomes weaker because you have to find a way to actually get the Machine X in rotation, right? And then find another way to get level 4. So playing it like this, it's best in my experience just max out on your extenders, because these are your best. This offers you A, more gas going second, and B, it also gives you the most versatility to play through hand traps and interruptions, right? So, yeah. So you want to max out on those. And also, if you cut Scale Surveyor down, another thing to note too, if you cut Scale Surveyor down from, like if your extenders go from 6 to 5, you actually lose close to 6% on seeing one of them in hand, which is also good to know too. So, yeah. So again, out of the mixture of cards I want to see, I have 18, right? That's almost half my deck. So I'm probably going to see at least 2 in my hand, and that's been pretty proven throughout, right? Next off, we're going to go to the engine requirements or one-ofs, but we're going to start with the 2, right? So we got Count Surveyor and Zero King. So these are also pseudo extenders. They just require a little bit more, right? Zero King requires a DD monster to pop. This requires a DD monster in hand specifically to summon. Count Surveyor is honestly one of your best starters as a 1-card it's your only 1.5 card starter, but it's also like one of your best because it actually enables so many plays, right? It's also really good when you have a brick to discard and then you have this in your hand, or you just add it. You are playing a little bit of Droll when you do that, but when you have that, it's really strong. So these are kind of the bare minimum. Some people want to play Count more at 3. I find playing at 1 is perfect because you don't really want to open multiples. It's not really something you want to see in your hand, right? It's more so something you want to add off of the gate if you open a hand where it's versatile and you can afford to do the pitch, right? But if anything, this is just really good to summon out from the deck, right? The Zero King is a really good extender, right? So if you actually hard open this, it actually makes you really, it helps bolster you into a Droll and Lopper so you're not losing. We don't really have much of an issue with Droll with our deck. However, some people leave it in, and if you have a hand that doesn't really play around Droll, you just kind of have to play into it. It can be detrimental, right? But 9 times out of 10, we're playing through Droll, no problem, right? So these are the kind of the 2 pseudo extenders that you need. So technically between starters and extenders, we have a total of 20, right? So starters and extenders, we really got 20, right? On to the remaining engine requirements. So this has been pretty solved, I find. Ragnarok, Orthros, Copernicus, Land Soldier, Necro. You honestly never want to see these two in hand. These are terrible to see in hand, unless you, most of the time you want to find a way to pitch them, either with Griffin's Pendulum Summon effect or to, when you get the ad off of the, when you add the Count Surveyor, right? Again, not the cards you want to see in hand. These two are fine. Like Copernicus isn't the worst to open because if you have a way to extend, Copernicus plus an extender is pretty good actually. Orthros plus extender is okay. It at least gets some rotation for your tuner, right? And then if you open one of these two, and you have like access to a 1-card combo or a 1.5, it's not bad because if you get through to the, if you ever get through to the link 2 and it points out scales, you can actually scale your, as long as you have contract and rotation, you can scale the Griffin and then pop it, get it out of scale, and then you can just put this. So you now have your Griffin in rotation for free if you open either or, because you usually try to scale up these two in most scenarios with your combos, right? So they're kind of like your main scales. Orthros, I wouldn't say to cut this because this is a pretty key piece in actually getting a contract to the graveyard before you get your Zeus Ragnarok up. And it's also your second tuner, right? A lot of times you're actually going to want this in your hand. There's also some combos which I'm going to showcase you. There's some combos where you actually want to add this and get it in rotation, right? So it actually serves not so much as a brick, more of a really good utility and engine requirement card. And then you could play this or Thomas, but Thomas, honestly, the more you get used to playing this, the more you'll realize you just never need Thomas. Is there some scenarios where Thomas can come up? Yes, but the more I played this, the more I found Ragnarok is just doing that job for you, and it's way more value having that extender play. And a lot of the deck's combos are centered around having this as one of your revive effects, which we'll get into later. So yeah, these are your 5 ender requirements you got to play. So that's the minimum on top of like the other 2 one-offs that are also extenders. So this is what I decided to actually start main decking. A lot of you guys who've been watching my replays, like up until even the last one, I haven't been main decking this. I decided to do this recently. It's actually been such a good ad. So I used to play Headhunt. The only challenge with Headhunt is, number one, a lot of the time you'd rather have Griffin in a lot of combos just add you like you're missing level 4 or like another DD piece that you can pitch for a draw, right? But a lot of the time it's serving the purpose to like get your additional level 4, which we'll cover that more so in our management section. But the Eternal Darkness is really, really strong right now. Like, if you got to think about it, right? The reason why I decided to main this is because most popular decks, right? Branded, fusion-based deck. Draco Tail, fusion-based deck. Yummy, synchro-based deck. K9, XYZ deck. And then Mitsurugi. You don't see a lot of pure Mitsurugi, but still, Mitsurugi doesn't have Magatama live if they need access to it, right? There's a lot of different things where, like, the targeting protection comes up. The tribute thing, like that does stop from a sphere mode, which honestly doesn't come up enough, although I just was recently sphere moded, but I'll actually talk on that. Also, I was actually playing against an Automat Rizio player at my locals, and what happened was I put up the whole board. I was holding this, so the other side of it too is some people are maining Dark Ruler, right? So if they're maining Dark Ruler and you have Siegfried up, literally the interaction is Dark Ruler, activate Chain. So they burn your Siegfried, but they also lose Dark Ruler. And if they have another board breaker, they still have to deal with this. So this is what happened. Literally, like, this is like kind of that piece that helps your board from stopping getting broken. You have to, keep in mind, you have to have 2 scales up at all times. You have to play your combos around that way. But what happened was I had like my whole board tributed from sphere mode, right? So I just like literally lost my entire board. I think minus, I forget what else I had up. I think he left the Gilgamesh out. Yeah, I think Gilgamesh was left out and he tributed off the other interactions. So he did that, and he realized after literally playing through, he had like 8 cards in hand because, oh no, this is, sorry, different game. But anyways, he had 5 other cards in hand, right? And, or it was 6 because of the Automat P or whatever. And he realized he couldn't make any plays. He just scooped because he couldn't XYZ summon. So like all these decks, if you just surprise flip this on them, if you didn't have to do it for hold it for Dark Ruler, it's insane. They just literally can't play. Yummy can play through it a little bit, but their board's a little bit weaker. And then if you have ways to, if your non-engine is usually going to carry you forward on top of this. So non-engine plus this is a really, really good backup play, like excellent backup play. The other side of this too, though, is that if with Branded, a lot of decks are starting to go back to Super Poly. Branded's playing Super Poly 100% right now. If you play against Branded, you can find a way to put this up, face up, so now that their Super Poly's turned off, right? So that's why this card's really good. I think into the meta, this is the best card to be main decking. I've had no regrets whatsoever main decking this. The challenge with the Witch, you could play Witch as well, but the problem is Witch, you won't always have a card to discard for it. It's not always going to be that good. And then the other thing you could do with Witch is sometimes you might tunnel vision trying to tunnel visional play where you're trying to actually scale the witch up from deck, where it's not really the correct line, right? I find witch going second to boards isn't really going to do you much. You'd rather just have 2 to 3 good non-engine and solid engine, right? So yeah, the Eternal Darkness for right now, like post the branded structure deck, for what's in the format, this card is like you have to, like, honestly, in my opinion, if you want to see really good results, main deck this card. It's so strong right now. Yeah, so out of all the contracts, you want to main deck this. It'll just do you so well, especially if you go first. It just gives your win rate such a much higher stake. And then the other side of it too was the guy who came second at YCS, the Brazil YCS, Rio, I think, or Sao Paulo. He was main decking Dark Ruler, so some people might jump on a board breaker trend, especially now that D barrier is out. So if they are, I can just flip this and then stop at main deck Dark Ruler, and then they have to deal with everything else, right? So yeah, that's really good. And then we'll go into the non-engine. So from most important, I would say, to least important, it's all pretty important, I'm going to say. But Ash Blossom being most important because it's going to stop your enemy card, which is Fallos, right? Impulse is kind of tied with Droll and Lockbird, I would say. It's hard to say which one's more important. I'd say these are, like, Impulse. Guys, like, this card is way too good not to be playing. You could play Bell and replace, but, like, why, right? Like, I mean, Impulse is so good right now. Stopping a Nib going second too is insane. I played against a Malice player. I broke an entire Malice player's board in the tournament recently, where I just had I think it was Call By and a cross out. And I held the cross out for his impulse. It was the last interrupt he had, and if I didn't have it, I would have lost. But he's like, "Oh, you played that?" And I'm like, "Yep." And then I just went off, and he just scooped. So basically, like, impulse is it's just so good. You have to play this deck. If you know, you know. Droll and Lockbird is also a way to stop Fallos, right? Speaking of Fallos, but it's also like a really strong card. So I'm just gonna lay it all out. This is supposed to be an Imperm again. I just said I have some cards that are just missing, so I am main decking 3 Imperm, and then a Call By and a Cross Out. So all of this, like Call By, Cross Out, we'll kind of leave out, but like all of these cards, minus Imperm, I would say, but these 13 cards are super high impact, great non-engine. I would also say Imperm, in a sense, is really high impact if you open it with Dominus Impulse, or if you pair it with the Fallos and you like hard draw like 2 off of it, right? Imperm, I find, is actually much better than what people take it for. In my experience, Imperm has been very good into like the majority of decks, because DD wants to really mitigate a board so it can play through it effectively, right? You don't really want them setting up and then trying to break it, because you'll have a hard time. If you can mitigate their board, I found this has just been the really good concoction of hand traps, and then these 2. So our answers to Fallos here are, we're just going to put all this aside. So that's 17 non-engine, right? But our answers to Fallos are these 8 right here. So basically, my opponent is playing 3 Fallos, and I'm playing 8 answers to Fallos, right? Obviously, Ash is the best answer to it. So is Call By and Cross. So you just got to be careful, because if you burn, like, what you don't want to do is like burn one of these early on an Ash Blossom unless you have to, because if they drop and will Charm You Fallos on you after, kind of screwed, because now you have to play into it, because you can't, and you have Ash or Droll in your hand. So that's the only downside with these, but they stop, you basically have 8 answers to your enemy card, because honestly, guys, if Fallos resolves, it is very hard. Like, you're gonna have a very hard time, because yeah, like, we'll kind of talk. I have ways, like, I'll show you guys how to play into it and the best way to play into it depending on your hand, but we'll talk a bit more about that after, right? But I really feel like main decking these 8 is really necessary, because you have to max out your answers to a Fallos right now. So having these 8 has been very good for me, and I really feel like it's, again, our number one thing that we lose to outside of Self right now is Fallos, and if we have enough answers to it, almost 3 times the amount of answers to it, in theory, we should be able to answer it every single turn, because if we win the die roll especially, we have to win that first game. Like, it's very important, right? So that's 43 cards. So 17 non-engine, main decking the trap, minimal engine requirements, and then maining all of the extenders, and then going 12 one-card starters. That, for me, this has been the most solid build of the deck, right? So next we'll get into the extra deck. So I'm going to kind of float through this, because I want to talk about like what's you need and what you don't. So you need this. Like, that's the minimum. Need for the rank 4s and the 5s, you need that. I would say you need 2 Machine X. You could possibly cut 1, but for the follow-up you should be playing 2. just in case you have to do a weird, like you get nibbed and you have to do like a play where you have to link this off. Caesar, mandatory. These two and this are mandatory. So these 12 are mandatory. Like you really can't be cutting these. This is the bear, or sorry, these, sorry, 12. These, oh, this is 12. I'm missing one card, sorry. These 13 are minimum. Like you can't really be cutting these. It's just what you have to play. The other two are whatever you want it to be, honestly. It could be, I'll just kind of touch on what I'm playing right now. This is just something I tested with, but it's just 2 more fusions because I was playing the fusion package. Like this is going to come out because I don't have the Swamp King in. If you're playing the Swamp King, you might as well put these 2 in. But again, the deck really can play with just having the 13, right? You could put a third Lincoln and the Spider XYZ. So the Spider XYZ, you guys may have seen me play it in my last live duels. The Spider XYZ, the 7 Sins, is your 1 card out to, not 1 card, but it's your 1 out to towers, like the Lunalite towers. So if they let you get to a Machinex, right, if you let you get to a Machinex, then you just slap it over top and they can't destroy, and the next turn you just banish their whole board. Like it's pretty ridiculous. But these 2 are flex spots. You can literally be whatever you want. It's up to your play style. If you're playing like a Ghost Cherries, you can play like the Link 1 for Yummy and then the Draco Tail, Arthalion. If you're playing Super Poly, these are your 2 Super Poly targets, like completely flex spot, right? This is why I just have these as like 2 random fusions. But last tournament I was trying the fusion. My brother convinced me to try the fusion package. I personally didn't like it, but if it's something that suits your play style, go ahead and play it. I do find DDD is best played when it suits your play style, right? Instead of streamlining the deck. So yeah, but if you guys want to follow like proper ratios, like I do feel like this is like the best way to play the deck. Obviously minus the last 2 cards, that can be whatever, right? But point is, 13 cards. Those 13 cards are like non-negotiable. The other 2 are what you want it to be. So for the side deck, I'm going to just lay out what my side deck looks like and then just kind of explain, right? So 3, again, the other one's at my brother's place. This is Lightning Storm. 2, Dark Hole, and Eradicator. So I'm going to explain this here. So, so make sure this is filming still. Yep. So basically, what you see here is 7 board breakers. 1 card for going first. Well, 3 cards for going first. I'll share with you my siding patterns in a second. And then I have 7 hand traps. So in my experience, so I'll just go over siding patterns real quick right now, okay? So when you're playing against, the reason why I want is because when you mix against branded Draco Tail, K9, like all those popular decks, this is exactly what I want going in. Because against K9, I want to put all my hand traps in. Against certain decks like branded, I want to put the board breaks plus Bell in, right? And take certain cards out. This mixture of cards has been perfect for me to like figure out with the 43 cards I'm playing is perfect in order to make mismatch. And I'll show you what I mean. So Eradicator right now I think is our best card that we can set off talents because this card, there's so many power spells in the format, especially since D-Barrier is going to be banned. If someone just lets you go off, or like they just go like 1 Ash and like you just go off, you really punish them by sending the Eradicator, because then you just look at their hand, and if they have like power spells like Regeki, it's kind of just GG's, right? Because the only issue we can run into is the power spells, right? So if we get rid of them, no problem, right? Now the reason why I'm playing Dark Roll over Regeki, this is just a recent change, this was Regeki, but the reason I'm playing this is because of the Idol Lock. So I feel like a lot of people are going to start playing Idol Lock and Branded. If not, this can just be Regeki. But this is only because of the Idol Lock, right? Because if someone Idol Locks me, I can just destroy the Idol, right? And then I can just play freely. But that's the only reason why this is Dark Hole and not Regeki, right? Before Branded Structure, this was Regeki. So whatever works best for you. But I will show you the side patterns here. So we're going to start off with Branded and Draco Tail, right? So going first, I'll just show you guys. Like every time I'm going first, I'm going to put these 3 in. Okay, so these 3 going first. And the cards that come out are 2 Fallos and a copy of Imperm, right? So this always comes out and these go in. Okay, like this is pretty well what always happens. Now, if I feel like Bell, like if I'm playing a Bystial heavy deck, I might put Bell in because I can then take out other things such as another copy of Imperm and then another hand trap that may be weaker into like Droll, right? Now, keep in mind, Droll is there to protect me, but like a Droll might come out if I'm playing against, like this might be what I'm looking at if I'm playing against Branded specifically, right? Because against Branded, they're usually playing 50 plus cards. I'm not too concerned about them opening Fallos when I already have 7 answers to it, right? If I'm taking this out, it's gonna be 7, right? So if I put these in against branded, there we go. That's the only thing that changes going first into brand is when I'm playing against branded. This will go in and these will come out, okay? Now let's go back, but everything else, this is fairly straightforward. Again, this is Imperm, okay? I'm not actually playing Veiler right now. I'm just not that person. Okay, so that's every time going first. This goes in, this goes out, okay? This makes it, you got to save as much time as you can with this deck too. So we'll go back. So now if I'm going second into branded, okay? So going second into branded, we got cross out going out. We got the Droll and Lockbirds going out. I believe I am taking out one of the, oh my gosh, the Imperms. And then I'm also taking out all my 1-card starters. Going second, I always like, I'll show you what always comes out here. Just give me 1 second. This always comes out. The 1-card starters are there. So these 9 will come out into branded. I'm just going to try to figure out how I best want this. Branded and Draco Tail. These 9 come out. Bells go in. And then all the board breakers go in, because I have 7 board breakers, right? These and Feather Duster, right? So these 9 for branded and Draco Tail, okay? Go in second, right? Okay. Now, if I'm playing against, just gonna have my notes out so I remember what I'm looking at. So if I'm playing against Yummy, so Yummy, I'm gonna grab these back out. So the cards that go out will be these, go in second. This might stay in. So Yummy, we're looking at 6 breakers and 3 Perulias, okay? So we're gonna go, I might just cut the Lightning Storm down to 1 or Dark Hole, whichever one I'm feeling more, because sometimes hitting their back row can be better, but whichever one you're feeling. I am putting 6 breakers in, right? You could also just cut one of the Talent Thrust if you just want access to an immediate board breaker, but then these are coming in, okay? For coming out, against Yummy, it's usually the same thing. I'm usually just taking out one of the Imperm. So the cards that come out are usually about the same. So it's like this, right? So we have the 3 and then we have 6. If you really wanted to go for another board breaker and just go heavier into it, you could just take out one of your extenders, which we'll get into that a little bit. But this is what we're doing going against Yummy, going second, okay? The next one is, which one do I want to go over? K9 variants, okay? So yeah, I think I'm not missing any. Yeah, K9 variants. So into K9 variants, again, these always come out, so I should just put these here. That comes out. Against K9 variants, I'm trying to keep as much gas as I possibly can, okay? So basically, the ones that go in, I'm putting in as many hand traps as I can, right? So there's 7 hand traps, okay? So these 7 hand traps against the combo K9 variants go in. And then we have cross out. Call by the Grave can go out. I'd rather just stop them from getting to any of their stupid negate cards. And then we also have one of the extenders. So these 7 come out. I'm going to take Scale Surveyor. These 7 come out. These 7 go in, right? That way I have a multitude of hand traps to deal with my opponent, and I really don't have to worry about them setting up. So this way I have a high chance of opening 2 to 3 hand traps that are high impact. If I get 2 Charmies off, it's really strong, obviously, so then I can just completely not worry about what they're building, right? So the reason why I like the Charmies is because, like, even Fallos and Perulia into most matchups is because they make your opponent play really weird to where you mitigate their board. That's all you need. You just need your opponent to be boards to be mitigated, right? So, yeah, so that's what we're taking out here. I'm just going to leave these back out. So I keep having a habit of putting these out. So these are the ones that are always for sure coming out, right? And then the last one I wanted to talk about was Mitsurugi, right? So you're going to put out these, and then you're going to put in, you're going to put out as well your Imperm lineup. So Imperms will come out against Mitsurugi. Here we go. And then we're going to leave the bells in, and we're going to go for 6 breakers. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So that's what's going to go in into our opponent. Now, again, if you don't want to deal with if you don't want to deal with them having Droll in hand, maybe just put Thrust to 1 and then put your other Lightning Storm in, right? So depends on what I'm feeling, right? But if they're playing 40 cards, they might keep Droll in, I'm not sure. But again, these are going to be the 6 cards that I'm going to put in against them, okay? And these go out. So that is your siding patterns, and that's kind of the deck building strategy behind it. So you can see by playing 43 cards, it kind of helps it make easy because I already have these 5 for sure going out, going second. And then I have the space for the additional 3 hand traps that might not be good into the deck specifically, right? Which a lot of the time, Yummy, Droll is not good into, right? Into Mitsurugi, Imperm might not be that great into, right? I'd rather have power spells and a Bell, right? So, yeah. So that's kind of the siding patterns and the deck building apparatus. Okay, let's get into the next step. Okay, guys, so this is going to be the management side of things. So this is going to be a little bit of a lengthier section because I want to talk about just management in terms of board state, graveyard, and then certain things that require you, like these you're seeing right in front of you. So basically, if we're talking about like the specific players in the deck, you got to always know that you have 2 cards that can pop, right? So Orthros is a card that can pop a card, and Sky King is a card that can pop a card, right? Without technically, yes, Machine X can pop a card, right? That's something good to know, but Machine X can't trigger unless a card is already popped, right? These 2 have built-in effects to pop, so that's always good to know. So if you're trying to get to a play where you're trying to pop something or you need to have removal, these are your 2 pops, right? You have 2 Pendulum Summons, so that's always good to know from that. And you have 2 Normal Summons, so that's actually always good to know, but you have 2 Pendulum Summons, 2 Normal Summons. You have 3 bodies that revive, right? So your Clovis is a revive, your Genghis is a revive, and your Ragnarok is a revive, right? This is important to know because this is very critical in not misstepping your combos. Now, the times where the deck is a little bit forgiving is if you open 3+ card combo. If you open 2 card combo, it's a little bit, and below, it is less forgiving, right? Because you need to always realize that these are the only 3 cards that you have in rotation that can possibly give you revives. Unless you're playing High King Genghis, which I am there, general rule of thumb, these are your only 3 cards that are actually going to provide you with a revive. Then you're also playing 2 tuners. Okay, so again, in terms of the players of the deck, this is what we're looking at, right? So you have Orthros and Land Soldier. Every single one of your combos needs to involve either one or both of these, right? You need to always have an awareness that you need to have one of these in rotation, or 2 is always really good too, right? But these are what gives you your synchro plays, right? So always know that you either need to get access to one of these 2 in order to actually have access to your synchro plays, okay? All right, guys, so the next thing we're going to go over is like a little bit of a graveyard awareness and level awareness, okay? So I want to demonstrate this little piece here because this is going to show you guys what your graveyard should almost always look like and then what this setup is going to entice, right? So you usually want to get your graveyard set up to look like this, right? You want a Land Soldier engrave, whether it's revived or not. It's awesome, obviously, if it hasn't revived because you can get some additional brownie points there, right? You want a Necro Slime engrave and then a Griffin engrave. At bare minimum, and then you want the cards, you usually want these 2 engrave or something to stop with a length 3 a hand trap, right? But a lot of the times your graveyard state's going to be in a situation like this, okay? So the Necro Slime is going to be your fusion. This is going to be potentially a revive, but it doesn't have to be. You don't have to get there. But I'll talk about levels in a second and keeping track of your levels and tuner rotation. And then Griffin is in here, so you can summon it back and give you a revive, okay? So in order to play it out, Ragnarok is your revive, right? So a lot of the time, you're going to end up, this usually happens if you've already done your second Pendulum Summon. A lot of times, you're going to find yourself in a state where you have something like this, okay? So basically, this happens after you've linked off a lot of the time, both of the XYZs, right? So a lot of the time, your graveyard is going to look like this. This, a lot of time, like I said, happens after you have the second Pendulum Summon performed. So if you're looking at this right now, this is good to know, right? Because basically this is all going to equate to, we'll go through the ropes and then I'll show you what I mean in a second. So basically we're starting off with Necro Slime to fusion summon. I'm usually almost always banishing Gilgamesh unless I want to purposely summon the card back from the banish with Clovis. So here comes out Genghis, right? So I'll show you what we're looking at here in a second. So Ragnarok effect, target revive. Chainlink 1 to add, chainlink 2, or chainlink 1 to summon, chainlink 2 to add, because you want to still stay protected from ghost spell here. Although they would have ghost spelled this, but it doesn't really matter because at this point in time, you're probably going to have something that's going to arise, right? So this is going to add you, and I'll show you how we're going to go about this shortly, but basically, assuming you haven't used Scale Surveyor, you can add the missing level 4. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So basically, this summons Ragnarok revives, okay? You now have access to a 6. You're going to go Synchro 6 to Clovis. Clovis is going to use the effect to revive the Lance Soldier, okay? So you've used all 3 of your revives. At bare minimum, if this wasn't a Griffin and this was another level 4, your bare minimum getting to access to 12 plus 16. This can become a 4, right? So basically, what I'm trying to say is a lot of the time this ends up in a situation, you're in a situation like this where you have to know if you've already used your Lance Soldier, because if Lance Soldier hasn't used its revive yet, then a lot of the times you can just revive it back and then have this on like another level 4. So basically what I'm trying to say is Griffin is sufficient in adding you that missing piece, right? That level 4. But if you're in this bored state, right? And assuming you don't have your Lance revive left and this wasn't a Griffin, let's say it was just another level 4, you're only going to end up with this and you're going to skip out on the Siegfried play. The only card that's going to get you that missing level 4 that you need is going to be Griffin, or it's going to be Lance Soldier to pop itself and summon it back. If you have another level 4, you can summon back off the Clovis, if that makes any sense. But a lot of time you're going to be like this, and if you have a game state where you're at this and you haven't used your Ragnarok yet and those are engraved, that's pretty common. Like you're going to see that's going to be a piece, and you have to understand you need to have that additional level 4 to be able to summon or to already have back, or Lance Soldier needs to have its revive, right? Because that missing level 4 is what's going to let you make the Synchro 8 play, if that makes any sense. Because then, if we summon this, right, we have the Synchro 8, which Synchro 8 is over here. I almost always summon the Synchro 8 here, and then you go overlay for the Wave King High Seas, okay? So that is something important to note about when you have the revive effects, because when you're doing the revive effects, you just have to understand a lot of the time if you get to that position where you just have Ragnarok, Necro Slime, and then you have the Lance Soldier and stuff in graveyard, that's really where that comes into play, is where you have to understand that unless you have Griffin to add you that missing level 4 that you can summon, you're going to be short one piece. It's usually one level 4 you're missing, but it's always good to note that, in short, Necro Slime plus Ragnarok plus having the Lance Soldier in rotation is usually giving you access to 16 total levels. You need 20 levels to make this board state right here. You need 20 levels and 2 tuners in play. 1 tuner in play, but like getting it on the board twice is what's possible to make it, because in order to make these 2, you need a tuner. Well, you need a tuner out twice. In order to get to the total of 20 levels, you need to have the additional level 4 to make the Siegfried. If that makes a lot of sense. But now what I'm going to show you is, in very short, is I'm going to show you the combo section so you guys have a better understanding, because these next 5 combos I'm going to show you, I feel like when you know them is going to be really helping you understand like how to streamline combos a little bit more, because these 5 combos I found are the best ways to actually know what to do with the deck. All right guys, so I'm going to show you guys 5 combos that I believe are the best way in my experience. Like again, there's so many different ways to combo, but I feel like if you know how to perform specifically these 5 combos, really helps streamline the deck a lot more for you. Yes, there's going to be a lot of intricacies that are going to be specific to immediate gameplay, but I think if you can memorize these 5 combos, you should be able to pilot it as easily as you possibly can, right? Again, the goal is less thinking, more action, right? So it's going to be the 1-card Kepler combo. Now I'm going to show you 2 variants of the 1-card Kepler combo. Kepler plus Extender. In my opinion, this is probably your best combo that the deck has. You got your Count Surveyor, 1.5 card combo. Now, it's not often this card comes up as your 1.5 card combo, but if you know how to do this, and because in most cases what you're doing with Count is you're adding it from deck to pitch out a brick and then summon, then you get more value that way, right? But I find if you know the line with Count Surveyor, it makes things a little bit easier, right? So from just when it's on its own, plus a random card. Plus, most of the time, the card you're discarding is beneficial, most of the time. Then Griffin plus, like, both the extenders, so if you open both the extenders, in other words, like 2 level 4 plays. But we'll just showcase these 2. And then because then you'll get the idea of like how to play with like just an Orthros or something, right? So, and then we have 2 starters, right? So I found like, again, just using this example is going to be the best way to show you guys how to best streamline it. And then I'm going to show individual scenarios where if you got hand trapped certain ones, right? And how to best play around it. So let's start off with just the 1 card Kepler combo, okay? So we'll get into this here. Don't believe I'll need any other cards, but so there's 2 variants of it, right? I'm going to show you guys the best way to actually do this, which I don't think is a secret to most people. It's the strongest way, but not the best way, and I'll show you guys how. So you're going to go ahead, summon Kepler. Kepler effect, add gate, add Machinex. Machinex effect, place. You're going to place 0 king. Again, I feel like this combo is no stranger to most people at this point, but this is probably the best. It's the most powerful 1 card starter for sure. So effective 0 king, destroy. Now this is a choke point, right? If they Ash Blossom you, some people hold it for that, right? We'll get into how you can play around that shortly. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to summon Copernicus. Copernicus is going to send Land Soldier. Land Soldier is going to go ahead, destroy, modulate to level 4. You're going to overlay. I'm going to go ahead and summon Solomon. Solomon's going to use the effect to add. And then you're going to add a copy of Griffin. Okay. You go ahead and overlay Solomon with King Tell. You're going to link to Gilgamesh. Chainlink 1, totally up to you. I'd probably just go Chainlink 1, Gilgamesh, Chainlink 2, Tell. Some people, depending on the deck, might play like Songs of the Dominators or some weird stuff like that. You're going to scale these 2, take 1,000. Okay. You're going to go ahead, special summon 1. And then you're going to get your link 3 out. Okay. When you summon the link 3, you're going to go ahead and use Ragnarok effect to revive. King Tell. You're going to go use Orthros, pop. Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. Summon itself out. And then King Tell is going to send a copy of a card that I did not include in here. So, well, maybe I did. You're trying to send a copy of, oh, I didn't include it. So the other copy, or did I? No, it's not in here. So you're going to send your second copy of Griffin, right? Because now you have your setup where you have Land Soldier, Necro Slime, and Griffin. And you have protection from the Ragnarok. So you're in a good spot, right? You use Ragnarok to give you the additional Pendulum Summon, and then this will go in scale. You now have 2 level 4s, and you have even Pendulum Summon. So you know you're in a good spot, right? The first thing you're going to want to do before you go and Pendulum Summon is use Necro Slime. Fusion Summon. Then you're going to go ahead, summon your Flame King. You go ahead, Pendulum Summon 2. You're going to use the effect of Flame King Genghis to revive. So here's the scenario, right? The reason why you want to revive this is because now you can get a 6, which can revive, and then you're basically, I'll show you right now. So like this 6 is going to create Clovis. Clovis will use the effect to revive Griffin. Griffin will use the effect to add. You're going to use the effect to add another DD card. So I'd probably just add like a Scale Surveyor here, to be honest. And now you have 2 level 6s and a Tuner 4 and a 4. This is, if you can do this before your second Pendulum Summon, you're usually in a good spot to make the rank 4, right? So a lot of the time, if you're in a position where you can afford to do this, and you'll see through some of the combos what I mean, but getting into this board state before you even get to your second Pendulum Summon is exactly where you want to be. Like, this is the best board state to be in before your second Pendulum Summon, because now you can for sure get in rotation to rank 4, right? And this is why I say this is probably the most streamlined combo, because it's the easiest, right? Griffin effect, pitch, draw, Nibiru, Gold Ray Nibiru. Now you're going to go ahead. Now Scale Surveyor could bounce, but there's no need to because we're playing the trap, right? You're going to make the Caesar, link these 2 off. You're going to summon Gilgamesh. Caesar's going to use its effect to add you Eternal Darkness. So what you're looking at here, and you're going to set Eternal Darkness. So you can, depending on what you're playing against, you can put Machine X out, right? This is going to be good into decks like Yummy, like this is really good into Yummy, right? This is really good into K9, right? Like really good into K9, the mirror match, right? A lot of different rogue decks. Now, the only time I don't summon this and just leave Gilgamesh out is A, if I haven't been hand trapped at all, I think they're on board breakers, or B, if they're on Draco Tail or Branded, right? Because Draco Tail and Branded, Draco Tail kind of, it's like okay into Draco Tail, I guess, but against Branded, just having this out to protect against board breakers is really strong, right? It's because really your main bosses in this scenario, guys, are these two. This actually is, I find, can be a little bit more powerful because it stops the hand effect special summons. And then your Eternal Darkness is also a really strong floodgate, right? So depending on what I'm playing against, I might put a XYZ, I might not, right? So now we'll go into the other version of the one card combo. All right, guys. So I'm going to showcase you guys the one card combo that I've kind of geared towards more so. Now I'm going to do the one that's more vulnerable to Ash Blossom if I either know I have protection against Ash Blossom, or they've used it already on a bait, and I can just go freely because it's more powerful. I have an additional contract on board, and it just gets me to my power play a little bit easier, right? However, if this is my only line of play, I know people are on Ash, so I'm just gonna go for this. So I'm gonna go normal summon effect. I'll show you how to do this. Now, we showcased this initially with my brother, but he was playing Swamp King, so it was a little bit different, and we were also playing Headhunt. So this is how you do it if you're playing my list. So activate effect search. You're gonna grab specifically Scale Surveyor, summon the Scale Surveyor. So here they have to have Imperm, right? And again, going for the early line, if they Ash, they basically just mitigate your board, right? This, if they have Imperm, fine, it is what it is. That's okay, I have a 1-for-1 trade-off. That's just what my deck does. We're gonna go ahead and scale this. And we're gonna scale the Ragnarok. Take 1,000. Pendulum out 2. Ask for anything here? No, perfect. We're just gonna go ahead and link. The link 3 is gonna bounce, or sorry, the Scale Surveyor is gonna bounce this back to hand. Ragnarok is gonna pop this to get the contract rotation. Now, if they see the link 3 and they penned, and they a Nibiru, that's fine. We still have this that can get us set up, right? No problem at all. So, and then the Ragnarok can revive, right? So it's actually pretty strong one, like through like multiple interruptions, other than Imperm, right? So it actually plays through a good amount of things. So we are going to use Ragnarok, so we're getting back on track. So now we have this in rotation. Scale the Machine X. We're gonna place up the Zero King. We're gonna go for our second Pendulum Summon here. We're gonna use Zero King to pop we're gonna pop the Kepler. We're gonna summon out Copernicus. Copernicus gonna send, and sorry, this needs to be level 4, but Copernicus gonna send the Land Soldier. Okay, overlay. Wisdom King effect to add. Griffin. And then we're going to Land Soldier, destroy this. Okay. And then we're gonna go ahead, overlay on top. Wisdom, make this level 4, right? Then we're going to summon, burn for 1,000. Then we're gonna link. So now as you can see here, so we're gonna go effects, grab the contract from the Caesar and send our missing piece. We have the setup for what we need to do. The only challenge is we're missing a contract, so we're gonna have to sequence stuff a little bit differently. I'll show you how. So we have our graveyard names we need, and we have the additional level 4 which you'll see where that comes into effect soon. And we have the Ragnarok, but this is the setup I was talking about in my management side of things. Okay, so we have Dark Contract, Eternal Darkness in hand. We're going to use the Necroslime. Necroslime is going to banish specifically Copernicus, and I'll show you why this is going to matter soon. Summon the Genghis. We're going to use Ragnarok yet. We're going to go ahead and actually go like this. Summon Machine X. Now we're going to trigger Genghis. Summon Griffin. Chainlink 1 Ragnarok, Chainlink 2 Griffin is going to add Orthros. This is going to resolve and add Land Soldier. Since we've taken damage, we can now use Orthros, special summon it. This is our missing level 4. We're now going to go ahead, use these two. Clovis, revive. We have no face-up contract, so we have to revive from the banish. This is why we banished the Copernicus. Copernicus gets summoned back. Summon. Overlay. Bada bing, bada boom. This is your 1-card combo, okay? Pretty powerful if you ask me. The only difference with the other one is that you get to keep 0 king up. That's pretty much it. I mean, like, I'm gonna trade this off. I can actually play around an Ash Blossom game 1, right? If it's my only play. Does it come up often? Not really, but if you are put into that situation, this is usually the better way to go. If you know you're not safe from Ash and you expect it to come down, okay? This is the better 1-card combo to do if you're scared of Ash. All right, so here is what is, in my opinion, the best combo of the deck. And that is going to be your combo plus your Kepler plus extender, okay? This is usually your best extender in the form of scale or this. Scale is usually better because, like I said, if you have Griffin, if they stop this and you have to go Griffin, you're going to have to find a way to actually get Machine X a little bit harder versus this just bouncing it, right? So it's a little bit more vulnerable into like certain hand traps, right? So for the sake of the combo, I'm just going to show you this plus a level 4 extender, right? Kepler. You know, go ahead and search Gate. Gate's going to go ahead and search Scale Surveyor. Now, what I like to do is I like to summon the Scale Surveyor. The one I search, I like to summon so they don't realize I still have this in hand, right? So if they're going to drop Fallos or something, they're going to be forced to just summon it here or whatnot, right? Versus thinking, oh, he still has another extender, right? Effect to make this level 4. Effect to summon this. Overlay the 2. We're going to go ahead and summon Solomon. Wisdom King effect is going to use its effect to add Machine X Queen. You're then going to go ahead and summon King Tell. Now they could nib you here, but again, they need 2 hand traps to fully stop you because they need nib Ash specifically to stop this. Or a nib Impulse would work too. Like I said, it's a 2-for-2 trade-off really, but they have to know how to use their hand traps. That's the thing that most people don't know how to do against this deck, which is why I like the fact that this deck is rogue. 1, 2, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Just for the sake of the video, I don't really care how I'm doing the chain links at this point. Sending the Necro Slime, scaling these 2, okay? This is in your hand, I'm just going to put it like this. Orthros going to pop this. We're going to activate Machine X, effect to place from deck. Okay, so current board state here. We have not Pendulum Summon. We have a pretty loaded graveyard. We have King Tell still. We have the 2 extenders. And we have Necro Slime with this still being having its revive. And we still have Orthros and this that we can Pendulum Summon. So I know the point is to protect the 0 King from Ash Blossom by having Link 3. However, in this case, I would get more value from using the 0 King here and risk them ashing it because I still have a really good line to play. Because even if they ash this, my board is still going to end up the exact same as, pretty well the exact same as the 1-card combo, Kepler combo that I showcased to you guys. Right, it's pretty well the exact same as that. The 1-card Kepler combo with the Scale Surveyor line. Same power board, right? Versus this actually resolving, I get full interrupts. Like I get my full contrast recursion, and then I also get this in the extra deck, right? I would rather risk that because knowing I'm still ending on my full power board, right? I'd rather just do it now because I'm going to get more value and I can still play through it because I have a load enough grave. When we get to the Count Surveyor line, you're going to see why I'm going to hold this, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So you're going to use 0 King here. Again, like I said, if they ash you, you still have plenty of lines of play. You still have a Pendulum Summon, you still have this, you still have this. You're totally good, right? So you're going to go ahead and use 0 King to summon from deck. You're going to summon the Scale Surveyor. I'll get into why I'm summoning Scale Surveyor in just a little bit. Go ahead and make the Link 3. Okay, you're going to use Necro Slime to Fusion Summon. No Pendulum Summon yet. We're going to go ahead and use Ragnarok here to revive. Summon the Griffin. Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. Gonna go ahead and add another copy of Machine X here, right? And then you're reviving King Tell. Okay. You're gonna scale Queen. You're gonna go Ragnarok effect pop for the additional Pendulum Summon. Use the effect of King Tell, sending the Land Soldier. Okay. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna Pendulum Summon out 1, 2. So the reason I summon Scale Surveyor is because it's giving me the option to do a 6. So you can see here my current board state again. Most board states are if you do your first Pendulum Summon. A lot of the time, if you do your first Pendulum Summon, you have access before your second Pendulum Summon. If you do your first Pendulum Summon, you want as much access to the line of having the oh my lord, the Siegfried rank 6 play. Just forgetting names at this point. But as you can see here, I'm set up for that because I have a 2 and a 4. Then I also have the Griffin. Okay? So I could also have summoned the, what's it called from deck, but it's totally fine. It's going to be, you'll see in a little bit why it doesn't matter. So you're going to use these two. Clovis, effect to revive the land soldier. Now I can make it a level 8 synchro here. You're going to go ahead and use these two for this Siegfried. Okay, and now I'm at this current board state where I have done this before my second Pendulum Summon, right? So again, the reason why I summon the level 2 is because I want to get the level 6 in rotation. I don't want to have to use Land Soldier Burn to get rid of my Zero King, right? It's just a matter of juggling levels, right? Because I had a 6 and a 4 to make this, a 2 and a 4 to make the 6 tuner, and I already have level 4 out, so then my 6 is reviving my 2 that can become a 4 to make the Siegfried, which is also a tuner, right? Very important to know these things, right? So now I'm at this board state where I haven't performed my second Pendulum Summon yet, which is perfect. This is the best boards come out from having this before your second Pendulum Summon, right? So in most cases, guys, you're usually, again, before the first Pendulum Summon, a lot of the time, before your second Pendulum Summon, you're either having this, or you've done your second Pendulum Summon, and then your board is Ragnarok plus the Zeus Ragnarok, plus the Link over here, and then your graveyard effects after you've done your second Pendulum Summon. That's the board states you really have to know in this game, right? And then the levels. That's the key to know in this deck, honestly. So we're going to perform our second Pendulum Summon. We're going to go ahead and summon. If you have a spare DD to pitch, go ahead, by all means. We're going to just summon these two. We're going to overlay these two. Caesar, linking these two off. And then Caesar's going to go ahead and add our contract. Okay, so here we have Dark Ruler protection plus Floodgate. We have... if you, again, depending on the deck, you can leave Gilgamesh out, or you can just place Machine X up. You have the interaction of the Machine X that can just jump scare, just summon itself from non-target pop-up card, and you have full recursion. This board is extremely hard for someone out, and it does play through hand traps really well. Okay, now let's look at the Count Surveyor combo. Okay, guys, so we're gonna go through the Count Surveyor line now. Now, the reason why it's good to know this, it's very rare you're just gonna have Count Surveyor plus another name. The reason why I want you guys to know this is because most of the time you either have Count Surveyor with gas, and it's best to just know these lines, or you have a way to add Count Surveyor because you want to pitch a brick or something, right? Usually it's easier when you know that, but if you know the style of combo, it's a lot easier to know because then you can have an easier time getting through these combos. The combo of if you ever add the Count Surveyor, you have the situation where you are using Count Surveyor, right? So you're going to use Count Surveyor effect. You're going to pitch we're just going to put that over there. Pitch the name. Summon itself. Effect to add. Kepler. Kepler effect search gate. You're not going to use gate yet. You're going to go ahead and do the link 2. You're going to use Gilgamesh effect to place up 2 scales. Go ahead and put Orthros and Ragnarok. You're going to take 1,000. You're going to use gate effect to search for the Machine X Queen. And you're going to use Orthros pop in. Now you have this engraved for the link 3. Activate, use the effect. Now, here, similar state to what we had last combo. However, we don't want to use Zero King, and the reason why is because we don't have enough resources to actually benefit if they ash this, right? So we're going to hold this. Now we want to do our early Pendulum Summon. So we're going to do this. If they nib us, no problem. We can still use this. If they have ash, not much we can do, right? So we're going to Pendulum Summon both of these. We're going to go for the link 3. Summon. I'm going to use Zero King effect because now these are both in rotation now, so it's fine. We're insulated from hand traps. Copernicus effects, and Land Soldier. Okay. You're now going to go ahead and do an early summon for Siegfried. And again, it's good to know these certain board states because if you get to these not every combo is going to be, not every mixture of hands is going to be. All hands are going to have different mixtures of cards, but a lot of them are going to end up in these similar routes of play. So this is kind of a line where if you have that access to Zero King after your second Pendulum Summon, you already have a tuner rotation, then, or before your second Pendulum Summon, like after your first Pendulum Summon, you have a tuner like this in rotation, then it's good to get Zero King to get your Copernicus out and make the early Siegfried, right? Kind of just showcasing you guys certain board states that make sense. You're now going to use Land Soldier to pop the Zero King, which is now going to trigger the Machinex face up, summon. Zeus effect is going to pop this, and effect go face up in the extra deck. You're now going to go ahead and Pendulum Summon 2 cards, right? You're going to overlay these 2. Go for the Solomon. You're going to use Solomon effect to add. You summon, or you're going to add Griffin, sorry. Griffin or Scale Surveyor. Actually, no, sorry. You want Griffin because you want it in the graveyard, sorry. You want to special this. Effect to make this level 4. Okay. Summon. Summon. King Tell effect burn. Now, you link both these off. So you're going to go ahead, summon. 1 Tell to Caesar. Caesar's going to add, and then Tell is going to send you a copy of Necro Slime that you're missing. So now we're set up in the sense where we still have Ragnarok Revive. We have this set up here, so we've already done our second Pendulum Summon. However, we have our power play cards in the grave, right? We have these. This has already been used, but we don't need it. Especially now because we have Siegfried up, we don't have to worry about A, another tuner revive, and A, getting an additional 2 level 4s on board. That helps a lot, right? So making a Siegfried in this specific line is correct, right? We're gonna go ahead and use Necro Slime to fusion with Gilgamesh, and I'll show you why in a second. Now we're gonna go ahead and use the Ragnarok, right? Summon, chain 1, chain 2. I'm gonna add follow-up. I prefer to add follow-up here. I'll probably add the Kepler. Okay. And then you're reviving Land Soldier to make the 6. Okay. You're gonna go ahead to summon Clovis, effect to revive Gilgamesh back from the Vanish Zone. And then you're just gonna go ahead and go overlay Machine X. Okay. You're gonna set this and you're just gonna pass. Sorry, you're not gonna pass on that, my bad. You're gonna pass on this. So that's from the that's just from Count Surveyor, and this is face down. And yeah, so that's their 1 card, their 1.5 card con with Count Surveyor. Good to know the lines because it shows you certain board states you want to be on, right? Let's go to the next one. All right, guys, so if you're maxing out your extenders, you're probably going to have a scenario where these are your only 2 engine pieces in hand. Happens to me a decent amount of times, will happen to you a decent amount of times. Now, this can be another level 4, either or, doesn't really matter. You guys are just going to get the point after I do this, right? So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this. The first way is the way I like to do it. The other way is the way you could do it, but I feel like it's a little bit more vulnerable into certain plays, right? So if we go ahead, normal summon. So the reason why I normal summon Griffin is because there's more value in the extension effect later on versus scale, because scale requires specifically Pendulum monster card. This just needs a DD monster. So it's usually, it doesn't come up too often, but it's usually better, especially if you accidentally add a, if you go to overlay and you need to add the extender. Well, at least you know if you've normal summoned this, you can add Griffin if you choose to, or if you get stopped on your ad and you have a Griffin on hand on top of this, Griffin can still summon while you have the XYZ out, if that makes sense, right? So, but yeah, it's usually more value to have this as your extender than this. Effect, summon. Now, this is the way I like to do it, so I'm not going to modulate this yet. I'm just going to go right for the link too. If I have to play scales. The reason why this is effective right now is because, like I said, I'm playing around what's a majority of people's main decks if they're on hand traps, which Ash is more popular than Valor and Imperm right now. So I'm more likely to go into this versus me just going to the rank 4 and eating Ash, right, as well. So I'd rather do this as I feel like this is just the safer bet right now. And they both get to equally broken boards. So I'm going to take 1,000. I'm going to pendulum summon 2. Just want to summon 2 and see if they have anything. If not, cool. If they do, no problem, because it's going to go back to my hand if they Nibiru me. Zeus, effect, bounce. Oh, just dropped the card. Oh my lord. We're going to go ahead and activate using the effect. Effective gate to add. We're going to go ahead and add the Copernicus. We're going to use Zeus effect to pop this, so we got the 2 names of rotation. Okay. We go ahead and do the additional pendulum summon 1, 2. 1, 2. Make it level 4. Send a copy of Land Soldier. Okay. You're now going to go ahead and let's just use these 2 for overlay. Wise King is going to use the effect. Adding 0 King. Okay. You go ahead and overlay on top of this Wise King, Wise guy, and you're gonna burn your opponent for 1,000. Activate 0 King, use the effect. You're gonna pop Machine X here because you're gonna get it back later on. Okay. And you're gonna summon just another level 4 here. So we're just gonna summon Griffin directly from the deck. Okay. Want to reserve our 0 king as much as we can. Then we're going to go ahead and overlay. Staring right at him. Caesar. And I'll link these two guys off. Chain link 1, chain link 2. So we're going to send our missing piece in the form of Necroslime. And then we're going to go ahead and add the Eternal Darkness. Okay. So now what we have in rotation is Land Soldier, Griffin, Necroslime. Okay. We have all the names we need at this point, right? So we're going to go ahead and use Necroslime effect, Fusion Summon. Then we're going to go. Going to use effective Ragnarok to revive. Griffin 1, Genghis 2. And you're going to go ahead and add a copy of your Machine X. Sorry. Add Machine X here. Because you want to rescale, you want to have a card scale because of the Eternal Darkness. Scale this. I'm going to go, sorry, effects. Oh, sorry, Synchro, my bad. Going to use Clovis to revive. You're going to summon back this. And then you're going to use Land Soldier. Summon itself back. And you're going to go ahead and make it a level 4. And now you got Siegfried. You're going to overlay. And we got this. So this is the way I like to do it, okay? So we have the 1 contract still. Gilgamesh can stay up. You do have a queen already face up an extra deck, so it might be more beneficial to go for this. If not, if you're thinking you're going to get board broken, leave this out, because this can still trigger after your board gets broken, right? Which is still pretty powerful. But yeah, again, it's still a really powerful board. I'm going to show you the scenario now where if you go for the early rank 4. So we're just gonna kind of quickly go through getting rid of all this. Boom, 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 boom. Technical difficulties, and then we're gonna go for the early rank or the early rank 4 line. Okay. So if you go for early rank 4, you're gonna go normal summon again. You're gonna special summon rank 4, or you're gonna make this level 4. You're gonna overlay Wisdom King. Wisdom King effect. It's going to add you, and again, Machine X. So this is the best way to do this combo, but honestly, it does eat Ash Blossom, like every hand trap, pretty hard, because I feel like most people, if they see you going right for the rank 4, are probably going to do something to this, right? Like Ash Blossom might get used on that, and then you're kind of screwed, right? That's why I don't really like going for this line, but it's still powerful. At this point, they're probably going to Ash this. If they're holding it for this, I'm not really sure why they would, but they could, right? So they're going to go ahead, activate. Zerokin's going to use the effect. You're going to summon from deck Kepler. Kepler's going to use the effect, adding Gate. Gate's going to go ahead and add your extender piece, which is, Griffin. You haven't used Griffin yet. Okay. You're then going to go ahead and overlay for the Kingtail. And then if they Nibiru you here, you're totally fine, because this can send your Land Soldier. Land Soldier can revive. This can come out, and then you get back to your link plays, right? So 2. And then 1, 2, right? Might as well just send the Necro Slime, and then you're gonna summon, or you're gonna place these up. Ragnarok Orthros effect, pop, pop. Go ahead. Sorry, you're not gonna scale this right now. You're gonna go ahead, special summon this. And you're gonna go ahead. Summon the Zero King. This is going to trigger your Ragnarok to revive back King Tell. Zeus is going to pop this, and then you're going to chain like 1, chain 2. Get this in face up extra deck. King Tell is going to send your other piece, which is the DD Land Soldier. So as you can see here, you now have access to your Graveyard Fusion, right? I'm not really going to go further into it, but you can see the setup now is a Graveyard Fusion, right? Then you're going to go ahead, summon, perform your first Pendulum Summon, and then your Genghis is reviving a copy of the Land Soldier, and then you can see you have access to your level 6, and then you can revive this back, get you the ad, and then you can get your Siegfried plus rank 6. Kind of similar. So it is, in terms of, because you get to keep the Zero King, it is a little bit more oppressive of a board for sure. It just plays more into stuff, right? So if your opponent's already wasting Ash or you don't feel like they're on it, go for the early rank 4 line. But if you're scared of Ash and it's your only line of play and you have no answer to Ash, then go for the early rank 2 line, I guess we'll call it, okay? So we'll go into the last combo I want to showcase. All right, so the last combo I want to showcase before I start going into certain interactions, which I'm going to go through like how to play around Super Poly, how to play around like Imperm, or like how to play through them, in other words. We're going to go through the interaction phase. I feel like you're learning a lot through just how I'm comboing, right? So there's only going to be a few interactions I will go through doing that. But this is also another combo that's really good to know too, right? I feel like after you watch this, you're going to realize, okay, like if I know these combos, they are a little bit streamlined in that sense, right? So but again, I've condensed these top 5 combos to know that, like, to help you guys understand like the certain intricacies of like how this deck plays, right? So I'm going to show you guys how I like to do this, okay? So I'm going to normal summon Kepler. It depends what I'm playing against, right? Use the effect. I'll show you what I mean by when I say depends what I'm playing against in a little bit. Gate effect to search Griffin. Use Griffin to summon itself. If they Imperm here, it's no big deal because I have Machine X. And like I said, if they Imperm here and they have Ash, like I said, DD is a trade-off deck. So like this each one interruption, this each one interruption. There's no real ifs, ands, or buts about it. The only time it's more than a trade-off is, or their interactions don't equal this, is when they interact with the wrong cards, right? So that's where we do benefit. But again, Gilgamesh is gonna set up. You go ahead and place Orthros Ragnarok, take 1,000. Orthros gonna pop, get these guys in rotation. Activate Machine X, you're gonna use Machine X here, and I'm actually gonna put up the Eternal Darkness. So now I'm protected from targeting, if that even matters at this point. They probably would have Impermed this, right? But again, if they have something that targets, well, I'm protected from anyone targeting a spell, or they can't do targeting with spell and traps because the Eternal Darkness is up. Doesn't really matter, but it's kind of just worthwhile. So we're gonna Pendulum Summon 2. Anything here? No problem then. Head and make the link 3. Okay. You're going to use Zeus to pop this, right, for your additional Pendulum Summon. You're going to Pendulum Summon 3. You're going to go 1, 2, 3. If you have a spare name to pitch, use Griffin here. But we're going to go ahead and overlay. Go for the Wisdom King. Wisdom King's going to use the effect to add Zero King. Zero King's going to use the effect. This is why you Pendulum Summon Kepler, so you don't have to worry about doing the Machine X and negging that way to try to get it back in scale. Negging a contract is usually the only way you can do that because you have to pop to get it back in. Rotation. So you're going to use, Zero King. Go ahead. Use Copernicus. Okay. You're going to go ahead and use Copernicus to send from deck to grave a copy of Lance Soldier. Okay. You're now going to go ahead and now you don't need to get to the rank 4 line, right? Because you already have the Eternal Darkness. So you can conserve the Zero King for next turn. It's pretty key conserving that. You want it, as much as possible, you want to try to conserve the Zero King for turn 3. Because it's a pretty powerful card to have up. You're going to go ahead and use King Tell to burn your opponent for 1,000. Link these 2 guys off. You're going to go for Gilgamesh. And again, Necros or King Tell is going to send this. You now have, this is still live, right? You now have your setup of these. This is also there. But your main cards that you want set up are right at your disposal, okay? This can also add you the additional level 4 you're missing, okay? So you're going to use the Necro Sign. And again, like I said, Griffin gives you that additional level 4 that you're missing in your combo most of the time. This is why not playing Headhunt's kind of beneficial, so that way you don't misstep the combo sometimes, right? So in Genghis, going to use Ragnarok effect here. Revive back. 1, 2. Add Scale Surveyor. Right. Summon back the Lance Soldier. Summon. Yeah, go Clovis. Clovis effect to revive. I'd rather summon out the Orthros here. Right. And then you can use Scale Surveyor to summon. Make it level 4. I like to put Siegfried in the Anima column. Just makes it easier for when I have Pendulum Zones. Caesar. Now, this is my board. So this, oh sorry. I'll probably put the Machine X up here, right? So this is your end board, right? You can't get super polyed. That's the main thing. This is up because you can't get super polyed, and they have to deal with the floodgate already. So even if they have Dark Ruler plus Board Breaker, guess what? They still got to deal with this. And if I haven't been hand trapped, I'm just going to end on this because chances are if I haven't been hand trapped or they just have one hand trap, all I need to really end on is just this, because this and this and this is really putting in the amount of work that I need, right? These kind of just solo everything, right? So this is kind of your protection, because if this gets board wiped, they go Dark Ruler, you haven't used Siegfried, and then they just Regeki you. Guess what? Gilgamesh is going to revive the Siegfried, and then you can use Ragnarok to get the Zeus Ragnarok back. You now have 2 interruptions in line. They still have to deal with this. So really, really powerful board, right? So those are the combos that I really want to showcase you guys to help streamline the deck. Now I'm going to showcase you guys. I'm kind of going to go through like the combos I just did, because I noticed I was kind of showcasing you guys like what interaction points might happen, but like throughout the combo. But I'm going to showcase like some like going against like hand traps, for example, right? And super poly and stuff. I'll show you guys how to best play around them to best bolster your board for that. That'll be the last section of the video. Okay guys, so we're gonna go through the hand trap section. So just playing around hand traps and what happens, more so like what happens when you do get hand trapped, because I feel like the way I sequence a lot of those combos you guys kind of seen was where how I kind of sequence to play around hand traps, so I best avoid certain ones. I think it was the line where I did, I think it was the 2 starter line. Just remembering now, I did it when I did the 2 starter line, like Kepler plus the Machine X. I placed the trap contract early, which is incorrect, because in case they Nibiru me, I want to make sure I can reserve that Machine X place for the Zero King, so then I can actually play through a Nibiru, right? So yeah, so when you guys watch that back, that was actually incorrect. Just make sure you hold it. I kind of go through these combos a little bit fast, so I don't really realize, but I think you guys get the point. Just don't put that dark contract up yet until you're safe from Nibiru. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So anyways, we're gonna go through like the most popular hand traps right now. We're gonna go through like Ash, Bell, Imperm, Nibiru, 5 mana and stuff like that as well. Just how to best sequence around those cards. And then yeah, other than that, I think there's Bell and Bystials as well, which usually happens on the Necros line before I get to the Link 3. Very easy to play through. I'll show you guys how to do that. And usually to best play through these, you want to make sure you have it's best played when you have a starter plus extender. Okay, so we're going to start with the first one being Ash Blossom. Okay, now we're going to do 2 variants where they Ash Blossom the Kepler and they Ash the Contract. Because if they don't Ash either of those, obviously, you guys see the combo sequence, we're safe, right? But if they Ash this or the Contract, and I'm also going to do it with Kepler Griffin and Kepler Scale, just so you guys realize. Kepler Griffin is the worst version of it. It still plays for everything, just more vulnerable. Kepler Scale is a lot better. It's a lot more versatile through a second hand trap. It actually plays really well through an Ash and Nib. So we'll just go ahead. Normal summon, effect, Ash Blossom, no problem. We'll go Griffin, summon. I'm not going to go fully through these combos because you guys should understand like what to do at certain points of these, but we're going to go Gilgamesh effect, placing Machine X and Scale. You'll see why I go for these 2 very shortly. We're going to go Pendulum Summon 1. Link. So Summon 5 is going to be the Ragnarok. We don't have Contract in rotation yet, but our goal is to get a Contract in rotation from the Machine X. So general rule of thumb, guys, if you don't have access to a Dark Contract card, like if you don't have access to the gate, what you want to do is prioritize getting Machine X to the gate and then using the rank 4, so using the XYZ, the Solomon, to get you to the dog contract. That's usually what you want to do. So general rule of thumb kind of goes back to the management section. This, you want to prioritize getting dark contract the gate if you don't have access to gate already or no contract access. And then this, you want to make sure you have, in that case, you get the dog contract, okay? So you're going to use Ragnarok here to pop this, and then Scale Surveyor is going to bounce back to hand. The reason why, this is why we want to put Scale Surveyor, because now we have 2 level 4 bodies in rotation, and now we can replace this and put it up. It is vulnerable to like a Nibiru, but it's all we can do at this point in time if this is just what's in our hand. Effect to add, you're going to add the Ragnarok. So now we have gates at grabbing us the missing scale, and then we go Pendulum Summon 3, level 4. You're going to use the effect to add the dog contract, right? Zero King. Level up. Zero King pops the sorry, this is in the graveyard, pops the Kepler, which then summons your copy of Copernicus, sending land soldier effect, popping the gate. You want to keep Zero King up, make it level 4. You guys get the drill at this point, right? So summon level 4. So that's what happens when you get ashed on that. So if you get, what happens if you get ashed on the gate and you have Kepler Griffin? Well, very simple. Let's play through it. Again, this is the weaker version. If you don't have, it's better if you have, what's it called? So normal summon Kepler, gate effect, they Ash Blossom it. Fair enough. Like I find ashing a gate can actually be pretty effective versus waiting for the Zero King, right? You're gonna go ahead and use the Griffin, summon itself, back for the link. So same line of play. We still want to prioritize getting Machine X up and scale Surveyor up. Okay, take 1,000, Pendulum summon 1. Go ahead, summon Zeus. Zeus, use the effect, pop in scale Surveyor, grabbing Machine X back. Activate Machine X, placing the dog contract, because we already have gate out. Using the dog contract to pop Machine X, summon from deck Copernicus. Copernicus effect, send. Land Soldier. Land Soldier effect, revive itself back, pop in the gate. Effective Queen, summon itself, pop itself. Effect to put it new chain, put itself in scale. And then you're going to make this level 4, if you haven't already. Wisdom King is now, so you can see how roles are reversed. This is actually adding you your missing scale. Okay. And then you're going to overlay. And then you can see, now I can summon 2 level 4s, boom. Okay. That's what happens if you get Ash on the contract. Now let's look at it if you have Scale Surveyor. It's a lot stronger, honestly. So we're gonna go ahead. Ash Blossom stays out. Kepler goes back, and then that's it. Okay. So Kepler. So they're gonna negate Kepler. Negated Kepler. Scale Surveyor comes out. Gilgamesh effect to place 2 scales. Now you can scale Machine X and Ragnarok. The reason why I do this, and then you're going to go like this. So if they Nibiru you here, so if you get dropped on Nibiru, not that bad because this can bounce us back. So then they're going to need an impulse on top of all this to actually affect you, right? So they need 3 hand traps if they decide to Ash us early on, right? This is why the 2-card combo is so effective, because they basically need 3 hand traps to stop us, if you have Scale Surveyor, that is. Okay. Go for link 3. Ragnarok, Scale Surveyor effect bounce, activate Queen effect, activate effect, adding us missing level 4. You're gonna now use Ragnarok popping this, and then you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna pen 2. Sorry, just have to, my camera just cut out. So anyways, you're summoning, you're pendulum summoning Griffin on your second pendulum summon, effect to make a level 4. Wisdom King effect. It's gonna grab you Zero King pops this, and then you guys kind of get the drill, right? Sends this, effect summon back, level 4, you got your access, okay? So now let's see what happens when they do it on the ad of the gate. So we're gonna get these back into our deck, okay? Number summon Kepler, effect that gate effect search, they just negate it, no problem. Scale Surveyor, here you go. Gilgamesh effect. If you get Gilgamesh, you're gonna go the same line of play, right? And you're gonna pendulum summon 2. Anything here? No? Okay, you're free from the Nibiru then. An effect to bounce. You're gonna use Ragnarok to pop this so you get this in rotation as soon as possible. Activate Queen effect. Zero King effect. Pop. Yeah, summon Copernicus effect, send. Summon level 4. Add the missing level 4. You guys get the drill, right? So don't really have to go further into depth with that. So now let's take a look at what happens when they Droll. All right, so what happens if we get Droll and Lockbirded on the Kepler ad while we have a Griffin? Okay, I'm just gonna get Ash out of my deck because that doesn't belong there. We're done with Ash Blossom. So it's totally fine, right? Now it does mitigate our board a little bit. It's doing it on here is pretty good if we don't have enough cards in hand. For sure, if this is our only starter, there's nothing much we can do. Again, if you start with the Queen Machine X and they try to Droll on our first ad, it's not that big of a deal, right? So, but again, it's that's why Queen's a pretty powerful card through Droll, just not through Ash, okay? But we're assuming for the case of the combos, this is the starter plus extender, because that's usually how you're playing through hand traps. Normal summon Kepler effect add, gate, they're gonna Droll us, no problem at all. Still gonna activate gate, effect, summon. Gilgamesh effect, play scales. We're still gonna go for that similar rotation of play where we get the scale surveyor up. Go ahead. I'm gonna pendulum summon 2 cards here, right? And then we're gonna go ahead and link 3, Zeus effect, popping scale, effect to bounce Machine X, activate Machine X. I'm gonna get Zero King out. Okay. Zero King effect's gonna pop the Machine X that we're gonna summon from our deck. Copy of Copernicus. Now here we're gonna miss out on the second Copernicus. Can you use the effect? Sorry. Send Land Soldier. We are gonna miss out on the second pendulum summon because unless you're playing defense soldier, there's no real way to actually get the other scale and rotation under a Droll and Lopper. So this is where really niche scenarios where like defense soldier can help you play through Droll and could be a consideration if you want to tech that in over like maybe instead of playing 3 Imperms, you could play 16 on engine and then just do that, or just cut cross out and play it if you want, right? It's just another utility card at that point. So yeah, but anyways, we're gonna do this. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, overlay. I'm probably just gonna summon Wave King, and then for whatever reason, I'm just gonna block this just for the protection effect. I don't really want to waste Solomon here. It might be worth putting Solomon out because on turn 3 this actually might be more useful. So you know what, we're probably just going to summon Solomon here. Because by turn 3 we're probably going to want Seizure more to protect us. Summon King Tell, burn us for 1,000. Use the Land Soldier, pop this, right? Which then triggers Machine X to summon itself. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and link these 2 off for a copy of Gilgamesh. King Tell is going to use the effect sending. Necro Slime. Okay. You now have Necro Slime and Griffin in rotation. We don't need Griffin though because we are unfortunately having to play under a problem card, right? So you're going to summon Genghis. You're then going to go ahead and overlay on top. Gonna use the Genghis to revive level 4. I'd probably just rather get, I'd leave Griffin in the graveyard. So leave Griffin in the graveyard for follow-up on next turn. Summon this. This is gonna get banished. You're gonna summon the Clovis. Clovis gonna use the effect to summon back Gilgamesh. And this is your end board. So still not bad. Like nothing really wrong with this board, right? It's still pretty strong. You're just gonna miss out on one of your boss monsters. It's still fairly protected, and you still have the Machine X that can come out. So the Machine X jump scare sometimes a little bit more, it can be more powerful sometimes than a Siegfried. In this format, maybe not so much, but honestly like a random jump that your opponent's not expecting, especially if it's like against Yummy, really powerful, right? And then this kind of these kind of solo a lot of decks, right? So, and then you have the fuel engrave already, right? So that's what happens if you get Drolled on the Griffin, if you have Griffin. Now, if you have Scale Surveyor, just gonna go back, rewind a little bit. You have Scale Surveyor, which again, Scale Surveyor does prove to be a better extender in most case scenarios. So we're gonna go ahead, Kepler effect search, gate. They're gonna Droll and Lopbird us, which I think Droll and Lopbird might actually be in this pile. Yeah, Droll and Lopbird. Okay, no problem. Scale Surveyor, summon. I'm gonna go ahead, summon Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh effect to place up 2 scales. We can get these in rotation now. So we do get access to the second pendulum summon, which is really nice. Scale 2. Summon. Effects Scale Surveyor to bounce the Machine X back to hand. Use Zeus immediately to get this in rotation, right? Activate Queen Machine X. Placing Zero King. We are going to use Zero King effect to pop. We're going to summon from the deck Copernicus. Copernicus can use this effect. Sending the Land Soldier. Okay. We're going to go ahead and use the Land Soldier, popping the Zero King. Okay. Make it level 4. And then we're going to go ahead, and again, I'd rather just go Solomon. And then we're also going to go ahead, overlay on top for King Tell. And then we're going to go ahead and Pendulum Summon will go 2. Scale Surveyor is going to serve as our missing level 4 here. So we're going to make Scale Surveyor level 4. Okay. King Tell is going to burn before we link it off. Summon the Gilgamesh. King Tell is going to send Necro Slime. So Scale Surveyor is going to be pretty important here because, again, it's going to be that missing level 4 that I talked about because we have the full setup of the Lance Soldier, the Ragnarok play, right? So I'm going to use this. We don't have a contract, so we want to actually send off the card that we want to summon here. We want to banish the one that we want to end up summoning back. So we are going to go ahead and go, probably just going to go ahead and use Copernicus here just in case. And then we're going to go ahead, summon the Genghis. We're going to trigger the Ragnarok here. Summon out Land Soldier. And then we're going to go ahead and summon these 2. So we're going to use that for the 6, right? Clovis 1, Genghis 2. Revive this back. Come back. Effect level 4. Summon. And where is it? Oh, here it is, summon. And then we'll just leave this here because we have no contract, okay? So this is through Droll and Lopbird. I mean, you get the full board. It's pretty good just through those 2. Yeah, Scale Surveyor obviously serves you a little bit better than Griffin does, right? But still not a bad board. I mean, the other side of it is you get Machine X and rotation, okay? So now let's go on to Nibiru. All right, guys, so I'm going to show you guys how to play through Nibiru. I'll probably do the 1-card combo that like I showcase you guys a lot. And then I'll do like Kepler plus, I'll probably just do like Kepler plus Griffin. So you guys kind of have an idea, like, because obviously, like I said, Griffin's like the weaker portion of it. So we'll probably do, actually, you know what, we'll do Kepler plus Scale Surveyor. I'm just trying to figure out like what the best way to do this, and then maybe like pair in like an Ash plus, like I was explaining before, so you guys can see me kind of how I like navigate through 2 hand traps, right? So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna start with a 1-card combo that I normally showcase you guys. The one that I like. I mean, I could go like Kepler. Like you could just go Kepler plus Gate plus 0 King. Or 0 Queen, but again, I don't really, if they have Ash on top of this, I don't really want someone ashing this here, if you guys know what I mean, right? But you could do this. This is going to play a little bit better into Nibiru, because what you do is you would go like this. If you're just going to play into the Ash Blossom, and go like effect, like assuming like Nibiru's, you don't know if Nibiru's are only hand trap, right? That's the problem. You would basically just go like Copernicus, send. You go Land Soldier effect, pop in this, send, make it a level 4, overlay on top. No, sorry, Wise King, right? Wise King effect is going to add you Griffin. And then you would go King Tell. And then here, you say anything here because it's summon 5, assuming they do Nibiru you here. I figured it's probably just best we just play this out anyways. They're going to put in the middle most likely. King Tell's still going to use the effect to summon Necro Slime. Or to send Necro Slime, sorry. You're going to use Necro Slime. Banish Copernicus. Summoning. There you go ahead. Griffin. Genghis effect is going to summon. You could go for like the early like level 6 play if you want to, but not really any point, because you want to, you just rather like load up your graveyard a little bit more, right? So you go King Tell, and then just get into the meat and potatoes, which is the Gilgamesh, and then King Tell can send you a spare copy of Griffin, and then you're kind of off to the races, right? So the 1-card combo that plays heavy into Ash definitely plays well into Nibiru, right? If it's early hand trap. So let's go back to like the 1-card combo that I've demonstrated. I don't even remember if I actually demonstrated this 1-card combo, but it's so commonly known that I felt like it's not even worthwhile. It's like the easiest one to know, I feel like. So we're just gonna have this here, reset our cards, okay? And I have Nibiru. We're gonna normal summon, again, I want to do this because it at least plays around the ash, unless you're ashing one of these, right? Which, when we demonstrate the 2-card combo, we'll just demonstrate them assuming they're going to ash this, because if I'm getting to the dog contract, it doesn't matter with if I have the 2-card combo. It's going to play through everything at that point, right? So yeah, we're doing my 1-card combo, so I'm going to go for the Scale Surveyor. Okay. Scale Surveyor summon, Link, Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is going to place up. Okay, I'm going to place these 2 guys, take 1,000. You're going to go ahead, and then assuming they're going to do it on summon 5, because a lot of the time if I can just go like anything here, most people are going to think unless they know the deck really well, most people are just going to think, oh crap, he's got Link 3, he's going to have a negate, right? So they're probably going to Nibiru me here in all realism. And this is actually proven true when I have this combo and they drop Nib, because they literally always do it here, right? So basically if they drop Nib here, so this all goes. And Nibiru gets dropped in the middle column. We're just going to assume that. Scale Surveyor is going to use the effect to bounce the Queen. Queen effect. Just going to place Zero King, right? Zero King's going to use the effect. We're going to pop Queen. We're then going to go ahead, summon Copernicus. We're going to go Chainlink 1 to protect from Bell here. Chainlink 1 target, Chainlink 2 send. Okay. You're then going to summon this back. And now you can see we have Link 3 access. And then from here, you can either choose to use Ragnarok to pop this if you're still fearing a Bell, right? But what you can do a lot of the time, what I'll do, just because I can still keep playing, right, is I will go, because this is going to get back in scale anyways, right? A lot of times what I'll do here, I'll still eat the Bell because I still have a way to pop and get this back in scale and do my Pendulum Summon because I have 2 level 4s, right? What I'll do here is I'll go Lance Soldier effect to pop the gate, New Chain Queen, so Queen summons itself, popping the Nibiru token, so now I have free columns, free zones, and then Ragnarok pops this, gets it in scale, okay? So that's how this 1-card combo actually plays for Nibiru, and that's how the other 1-card combo plays for Nibiru. The reason I'd rather do this though is because I'm more insulated from an Ash Blossom, which is more commonly known to be in people's main deck right now. Okay, so that is how we're playing around Nibiru, and then we're going to demonstrate now an Imperm. Okay guys, so let's play through an Impermanence. So Imperms really, the 1-card combo is not going to get through an Imperm, unfortunately. However, the 2-card combo does, right? Now, when we were back in Nibiru, I didn't really bother going through like the 2-card combo because I kind of felt like once I did the 1-card combo and showcase you guys that, like that kind of just does the job anyways, like through an Ash plus Nib. So if they Ash the Kepler early on, you just have the 1-card combo to play through, right? So I feel like you guys know enough at that point. So we're going to go normal summon Kepler, effect to add, gate effect to search, Griffin, summon itself, effect summon itself, make itself level 4. Wisdom King effect, adding Machine X. We're gonna go ahead, summon King Tell. Okay. Use these 2. Oh, not yet. Not just yet. Gilgamesh effects 1, 2, Imperm, no problem. That's no problem at all. I'll show you guys why in a second. We're gonna scale Machine X. You use the effect to place up. So Zero King effect to summon from deck. Go ahead and summon Copernicus. Okay. Indigo Copernicus effect to send Lance Soldier. Okay. You're now going to go ahead and do this. Link 3. Summon Zeus Ragnarok. So now you can get access to 2 Pendulum Summons. Go ahead and use Zeus Ragnarok. Might as well just do the early effect here. You could either do Zeus Ragnarok here, or you can just go ahead and use the Lance Soldier. It's totally up to you what you want to do. I think it's just safer to just go Zeus Ragnarok pop, but it depends on what you want to keep reserved, right? So we can just do it like this then. So it's just more so I'm trying to like bolster into like another hand trap, like if they have Bell or something for my Necro Slime, it's just safer line to play. So effect to pop this, chaining effect, summon, pop itself, go and scale. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and use Necro Slime. Okay, we're going to do this. Genghis. We're going to use the effect of Lance Soldier to revive. Chaining Genghis here. Reviving Griffin. Griffin's going to add you the missing scale. Okay, this is just the safest line of play to do this, right? Activate. Go ahead. Use these two, so now we have loads of plays in the pipeline. Summon First King Clovis. We are then going to go ahead and use Clovis to bring this back. And then we're going to go ahead, overlay these two guys. Sorry, the Zero King's supposed to be in the grave because of the Land Soldier. Summon the Caesar, right? And then we're going to go ahead, Pendulum Summon 2 cards. Go ahead and make this level 4. We're then going to go ahead and do our second Pendulum Summon. And you guys kind of get the point here, right? So, oh, sorry, my bad. Link this off. You know, link, add contract, put this over. That's how you play through Nibiru, okay? Now, let's go through the next combo, which I want to just really quickly showcase what happens when you get Bystialed on an early Necro Slime. Okay, so now we're going to do a, not Bell, but like Bystial. I just don't have a Bystial on me right now, because thing is with Bell, like unless we go for like the 1-card combo that's vulnerable to a lot of hand traps, Bell is kind of a dead card because we get to the link 3 and then it's already, like we're not using Necro Slime or the Revive till we're at link 3 most of the time, right? Unless we go for the 1-card combo that's vulnerable to the Ash Blossom, then this is where this gets more effective because of the tuner needs to revive itself for that combo. So for this combo specifically, it's better, again, for playing around hand traps, I'm doing the 2, right? So Kepler effect search. So this is a Bystial, sorry. Just I want to clarify that that is a Bystial. And because Bystial is going to actually be a better card against us, I find. Effect 4. So you're going for your standard 2-card combo. Wisdom King's going to add Machine X. You're going to go ahead, overlay Solomon, the Wise King. Use your link 2, 1, 2. So let's send this to the grave. Scale. So again, standard link or standard 2-card combo, right? Take 1,000. Then they go ahead and use the Bystial, banish this. It's usually the most effective thing to do in this case because once the link 3 is out, that's it, right? And we're already 2 established at that point. So no problem. Orthros effect pop. Scale. Queen effect. Place up the dog contract. Dog contract pop. Copernicus effect sending Land Soldier. And then you're going to go ahead and make the link 3. Okay. So the link 3 comes out. Then what you're going to want to do here, you want to go ahead and use Land Soldier effect. Popping 0 King. And then chain link 1, chain link 2 comes out. And you're going to summon, sorry, the target is going to be Griffin. Griffin effect adds another copy of the Queen. I'm going to grab Queen so we can get it face up extra deck. Ragnarok can go ahead and pop this for your additional Pendulum Summon. Go ahead. Because we don't need Land Soldier now because we already have this in rotation. Land Soldier's done its job, we can get rid of it. Clovis is going to revive back the banished Necro Slime. I'm going to scale this here. Okay. We're going to go ahead and make our first Pendulum Summon for 1, 2. Make a rank 4 for Caesar. It's our first Pendulum Summon. You guys kind of see where this is going now, right? I would assume. And then Caesar's going to add the trap. And now you can use Necro Slime. Use these two, I guess, to make Genghis. And then you honestly don't even need Genghis here because the only thing you need to really put out now is oh sorry, because you don't have the other, you do need Genghis, sorry. So you're going to go like this. I'd actually rather just put it like this because don't want to fill up spaces. Genghis effect, revival level 4. Overlay these two. Siegfried, Pendulum Summon, Orthros, and that is how you play. That is how you play if Necroslime gets banished. Because, like I said, Bell is not doing anything unless you play the vulnerable 1-card combo. Because by the time we get to link 3, we're pretty well Bell proof at that point, right? Because we're pretty well set up unless we start with like our Griffin extender play, right? So, yeah. So we've covered the majority of hand traps. I don't think there's any I am missing outside of like the in-engine ones. Nib. Oh yeah, Fallos. We'll talk about Fallos real quick as well. Let's go into Fallos quick. Okay, so if you get Fallos, honestly, like not much we can do. We kind of have to play into it. However, I'll give you my insights on Fallos here. So if we open a hand that looks like this, like literally just gas, I'm going to play right into Fallos, right? Because I got to realize what's in most people's main decks, right? Like Branded, for example. Branded only has like Thrust, like certain cards, right? So like I have to just build my whole board, set up the Super Poly Interaction, and then no matter how many cards you draw, it's still going to be very hard because we still just need to negate the Branded Fusion and like any other extenders, right? And then at that point, we have other cards to stop them from making plays. So it's still going to be hard for them to break our board if we play into the Fallos. But I'm only going to play into Fallos because you got to think of like what people are playing for non-engine, right? Most people aren't playing 100 hand traps. It's like more so like some breakers, especially right now, right? So I'm okay with that, right? But only if I open a ton of engine, I'm going to play right into Fallos because there's no point in me just passing if I have no engine because they're just going to kill me. So if I have this, like a ton of engine, I'm going to play right into it. If I get Fallos and my hand's looking like this, for example, and I have, let's say, 2 non-engine, for example. My non-engine's not here. Let's say my non-engine's looking like Droll and Impulse. Like, all my non-engine's really strong. Like, I think it's pretty safe to say, like, all the non-engine's pretty solid. So this is, like, my hand, right? For example, I have, like, 1 random card, and I get Fallos, right? So they're going to Fallos me probably at some point before I commit, right? So I'm going to go normal, effect search, scale surveyor, special summon, scale surveyor, then they're going to Fallos here, right? So Fallos is in effect. Okay, so what do I do? What's the best way to actually do this, right? And again, I'm only going to mitigate my own board if I have solid non-engine to back it up, okay? If I don't, I'm just going to play into it knowing that some people's non-engine is not as insane right now, or I could actually, everyone's going to have a problem trying to out my board anyways, unless it's like game 2 or 3 where they're going to have like 20 board breakers, right? That gets a little bit tricky, right? So, and this is why we just maximize our, but again, if we don't have the answers, then okay, what it is what it is. We're going to special summon Griffin. We're not going to make the XYZ here. What we're going to do, we're going to give them 1 draw. We're just going to go link 2. Gilgamesh, right? Gilgamesh is going to use the effect to place scales. Machine X. And we're going to place up Ragnarok. Okay. We're then going to go ahead and use these 2. So they're going to have 2 draws now. 2 draws, right? So I'm going to get this out of the way. We're going to summon, sorry, not the link 3, another copy of the link 2. We're going to use Ragnarok to revive. And then Scale Surveyor, sorry, and is going to chain block to add this back to hand. Okay. I'm going to use the effect of Queen to place Eternal Darkness. And we're going to get, so they have 3, they're going to get 3 draws now because of Machine X. So the opponent's going to start with 8 cards in their hand, right? 8 cards go in second, but they still have to deal with a good amount of interruptions, right? Machine X, Gilgamesh's protection for board breakers, and they still have to deal with this, which a lot of decks still have problems with. So this is kind of what I'm going to go for, right? I'm not going to go bother making the link 3 because I have really no way to, the link 3 is not going to be live until I've actually popped a gate, right? Which you technically could, but I feel like a lot of the time, like the good hand effects are like the Mitsurugi cards and stuff like that, right? So not really any point. I'd rather just have board breaker protection. So if they do wipe my board, I can get a spell and trap negate on standby immediately, and then I can just kind of go from there, right? So that's kind of the line through Fallos that I just wanted to show you guys on how to best play through it. Again, Fallos is very good against us, but I feel like if you just have some good non-engine to back up your board, then go for something like this, because if you have solid non-engine, they're still starting with 8. They still have to deal with a floodgate, which is really good right now, and these two are kind of giving them complications, right? But that's what I'm going to go for if I have some solid interruptions in hand already. Okay. So lastly, let's go to the in-engine stuff that we want to cover for like 5 mana and stuff. All right, so we're going to quickly touch base on 5 mana. I don't have them right now, but 5 mana and Azuna, okay? So they're basically doing the same thing, right? And there's so many different intricacies that they can cover, because the problem is 5 mana can just use, you know, they can bounce a bunch of cards depending on how many cards they use from material with 5 mana, right? The more, obviously, they're going to neg, but 5 mana might just have stacked hand, and then all of a sudden they set up like Malulu and stuff, and they're just completely like tier elementsing you, right? So basically, I'm going to play it from a simple perspective of where we want to just showcase. I'm going to showcase initially the 1-card combo that can play around Azuna, right? Or I'll do the 2-card combo so I have like a spare card in my hand. Just keep it to the 2-card combo, but the 1-card combo does also play around Azuna. And I'll showcase you guys how in a little bit. Just going to keep it like this, but for the 2-card combo's sake, I've found in a lot of times, just because in a realistic gameplay, unless they open insanely nuts, they're going to go ahead in most case scenarios, both Azuna and the 5 mana are going to try to get rid of the Link 2. That's in my experience what happens most, so we're going to base that off that. And then basically you guys just know in short how to play when the Link 2 gets removed, right? Because that happens from time to time. So first off, we're going to start with Kepler. This is for the Azuna line. So you're going to go ahead, gate. Now, this is where you're going to add Machine X, okay? Again, this does play into other hand traps, but if you want to completely play around the Azuna, you're going to do it like this. Zero King effect, pop, summon from deck. You're going to go Copernicus effect, send, Land Soldier. Just have this in hand just in case for the extender play. Just going to keep these like this. Gilgamesh, this in hand. Gilgamesh effect to place up 2 scales. Go ahead and place these 2. Okay. And then since you don't want to be playing around, since you want to play around certain interactions, you want to go Pendulum Summon, just go ahead, Pendulum Summon 1. Before you even get here, actually, you might as well just do this. Sorry, we'll do it like this. Doesn't really matter. They're going to nib you either or. Summon the Ragnarok. Now you're going to go ahead, Orthros, pop, pop. So you have protection, and then you're going to go ahead, summon Zeus, pop, get this in scale. Now you're protected from Azuna, okay? Now let's rewind, and we're just going to assume they're both going to take the link on us, okay? Because that's, again, most common scenarios are taking the link from you. So we'll go back, rewind a little bit. So this is going to be Kepler and scale again. Normal summon Kepler, just standard 2-card combo is what we're going for here. Effects. Don't have Griffin here. Griffin, summon the Griffin, summon the Scale Surveyor, effect level 4. You're then going to go ahead and make Solomon. Solomon, it's just easier for me if I put these in attack, right? Solomon's going to go ahead, grab Queen. We're going to go ahead, put King Tello. Link these 2 off for the Link 2. 1, 2, and then they use 5 mana or Azuna, right, to summon, and then this resolves, right? And then you're sending the Necro Slime. So in this case, let's just say they take, getting it bounced back's a lot easier, right? Because we have it in rotation for another Link play, but let's just assume they suck it up, okay? So assume they suck up Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is completely out of rotation right now. Just gonna do it like this, I think, so you guys can see. You guys can see that, maybe, I don't know. So it's currently used as material into the Nash Knight or whatever it is they use. We're gonna go ahead, use Orthros, pop, pop. Activate Machine X Queen to scale, or to place. Zero King effect, summon from deck. Head and summon Copernicus. Copernicus can use effect to send the Land Soldier. Okay. We can then go ahead and use Necro Slime here. Probably just gonna get rid of the King Tell, I don't need it right now. And then we're just gonna go ahead and summon Genghis. Ragnarok effects, summon, chain 1, chain 2. We're just gonna go ahead and add another copy of the Machine X here, okay? Might as well just scale the Machine X right now. Oh, sorry, don't do it yet because you have to resolve still. Summon Land Soldier, right? Now you can scale this, right? Use these two. Summon Clovis. Clovis effect will revive Land Soldier. Land Soldier effect make itself level 8. Or, sorry, to make a level 8, you're gonna modulate, do this, overlay, and you're gonna go ahead and where is it? Where is it? Oh, here it is. So these are your two main boss monsters that you really just care about right now, right? You're then gonna go ahead and use the Land Soldier, summon, pop. You're then gonna go ahead and trigger the Machine X here. You're gonna pop, so this gets back in rotation here, and this is dead. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and make the link 2. Now, totally up to you, because now you don't have, or what you'll do, sorry, you'll go ahead and Pendulum Summon, do your first Pendulum Summon of 2. Right? Overlay, make the rank 4. So this is where I'm meant to say, totally up to what you want to do. So you're going to use Summon Ragnarok, Zeus, sorry, and then Caesar's going to add you the trap. So from here, now you could go ahead and Pendulum Summon if you want, but really these are your main forms of interruption, right? So this is what you do when you get the link 2 bounce. By no means is it the worst, and then if you still have this, you have an addition. You basically have 3 link plays you can do, right? So that's how you play around those. The last segment of this video is going to be playing around Super Poly and Droplets, which kind of explained earlier, but we'll just quickly go over that as the ending section. Okay, guys, so I just want to quickly talk about like playing around board breakers, right? So for example, the main ones being, I don't actually have any of them, right? So Dark Ruler No More and Super Poly are the main ones that we actually can play around. It's not really much of a secret, so I'm not going to go too full in depth with it. I feel like I've covered pretty much everything I need to, and I feel like the amount of stuff you guys have seen so far, you guys know how to play around it, right? But basically, if you have Kepler, the 2-card combo will get you there too. You just got to sequence stuff a little bit differently. But the main thing is, like, if you have Kepler Machine X, you can set up like you've seen in the one combo, right? Where you can set up, you can use Machine X to set up the contract with Eternal Darkness, and this prevents you from getting Super Poly, because this is already face up. So if you're trying to play around Super Poly, try your best. Like if you think your opponent's on Super Poly, and I know there's some hands that don't get you there, and some interrupts may mitigate you from doing that, but most hands on the 2-card combo will allow you to place this face up and you still get your full board, or if not most of it, right? So a lot of the time, you've seen in my combo with these two, again, don't place this up too early just in case to do it early Nibiru on your first Pendulum Summon. Just hold this until you get the link 3 out and you're protected, and then you can put this up, right? So if you're scared of Super Poly, try to get this up using this. If you're scared of Dark Ruler No More, you gotta pick one or the other, right? Dark Ruler No More is not the worst against us because we get board recursion, and turn 3 we just kill our opponent, right? But basically what you want to do is, if you want to play against Dark Ruler, do any of these combos, just hold this contract, and then what you do is Siegfried. Everyone should know this by now, but basically you hold this, and then when they Dark Ruler you, right, chain, target the Dark Ruler, right? Because this just needs to respond. This isn't responding to the activation, this is, and then you can just chain this at any point in time. It's like a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. Okay. In short, the other thing is there might be some, I actually had it happen last locals where someone sphere moded me because I held this for Dark Ruler. But again, the guy sphere moded me, he got rid of all my interactions, and I flipped this when he summoned 2 level 4s. He was playing the XYZ deck, and he literally just scooped. So this card, again, it's worth just holding because not a lot of people are playing sphere mode. They can't afford to. And if I just go like this, especially against like most decks right now, they're just kind of like, well, I have no much plays, right? So anyways, guys, that's going to conclude this video. I hope you guys liked it. This is for sure my most in-depth video, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.